I say all sorts of things, Dustin, and I'm sitting here with an empty bottle of wine.
That's true. Oh man, that's going in the intro.
Who knows what I could say?
You are not a reliable narrator.
No.
Exactly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another very special episode of Back Up a Second. I'm your moderator, Dapper Stormtrooper, here bringing order to the galaxy and this podcast. As always, I'm here in our stunningly medium fidelity semi-boosted Discord server with my co-conspirators, Sly Salmon, Boisterous Beethoven, and of course, bravest podcaster Krista. Tonight we'll be suffering through episode 7 of the CBS trash hit Picard, the ratings for which are subject to debate. You should know that by now. That's kind of what we're doing here. But anyway, if you haven't already tuned out, tune in, throw your leg over the chair, sit down, and prepare to hear us rip through the bulkheads of narrative as we get a little high on the drug called Nepenthe. Take us away, Beethoven.
All right. So the story so far, we are reminded of a few different things here. First of all, we're reminded that on the artifact, we're reminded that the disordered are what they call Romulan XBs. And as far as Hugh knows, that they are the only Romulans ever assimilated. We're reminded that after Picard arrived at the artifact, he was reunited with Hugh, and they went to look for Soji in her room, discovering all her childhood possessions strewn about. Picard believes she's close to discovering who she really is. Meanwhile, Narek and Narissa are working to manipulate Soji to revealing the location of Soji's homeworld through her recurring dream. And of course, Soji sees her homeworld, or at least she sees 2 red moons, dark as blood, and lightning, so much lightning. And Narissa is impressed because apparently this is enough to be able to locate her home planet.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Wait till corrections corner.
Oh, no.
Oh, Lord.
We see Narek crying as Soji is being locked into the sacred Romulan ritual space. And
the allegedly sacred Romulan ritual space.
And he uses his impossible box to gas her with radiation.
Because that's how radiation works.
Well, it might be a special kind of radiation that hurts machines.
In gas form. Got it.
In gas form. Hey, you know what? The gadgets they've come up on this show so far, this to me is the most believable gadget they've come up with.
It's radioactive dust.
Yeah. And just that makes it the least Star Trek to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Picard mentions that Soji's been activated as we see Soji punching her way through the floor and escaping as Narek watches through the door. She crashes through the roof right in front of Picard and Hugh. She says, "Do you know what's happening to me?" And Picard says, "I do. Come." And they go and find the Queen's chamber and turn on the spatial trajector. And Picard tells the crew of La Sirena to rendezvous at Nepenthe. Rios asks, "Where's the kid?" As we see Elnor slicing down 3 Romulans to rescue Picard and cover their escape. And Picard pleads for Soji to trust him as they step through the trajector. Cut to black. So here's our intro. We open to crashing waves and a soaring soprano opera voice as our eyes take in the sweeping vistas of the Daystrom Institute in Okinawa. Having lunch in a cliffside park, we see Agnes Jurati. It's 3 weeks ago.
According to a title crawl?
Yes.
Or a title card? Okay.
Yes. We see Commander O approaching.
Commodore O.
Commodore O. I have that written down too. We see Commodore O approaching, and she introduces herself. She says that she wants to talk to Agnes about her last couple visits with Admiral Picard. And as O sits to join her, she reminds us that Agnes and Picard talked about his interaction with a synthetic life form. They also talked about Bruce Maddox and about fractal neuronic cloning. Agnes is a bit miffed that they had her under surveillance. O continues on saying Agnes provided Picard with 300 gigabytes of material on Maddox during their second meeting at his residence in La Barre, France. Agnes just kind of looks at her, and O says, "I'll take your silence as confirmation."
Seems fair.
Sorry. Typical FBI intimidation tactic.
Yeah. O asks Agnes what else they discussed. And Agnes kind of thinks for a moment. She says, the works of Asimov, with a nervous smile. O is not amused. Agnes says she told him she was sorry she didn't get a chance to meet, she catches herself, the synthetic life form, she says. O says that would have been the culmination of a lifelong dream. Agnes, concerned, she says, I'm sorry, am I in trouble? Oh, no, not at all, says O. And she asks, or she says that they need her help with something. Apparently, Picard told Starfleet about his plans to find Maddox and the synthetic life form. And they want Agnes to go with him, to accompany him wherever it is he's going. Agnes is hesitant at first, and O says, let me show you what will happen if synthetic life is allowed to exist. She reaches up and slowly removes her sunglasses, reaches her hands up, placing her fingers on either side of Agnes's face. Agnes is like, oh, okay, but O interrupts, my mind to your mind. And we zoom in to into Agnes's eye as we see a series of visions quickly alternating with shots of her horrified facial expressions. So here's just a few of the really, really quick flashes we get. We start out with a good shot of Commodore O's face, but she's wearing like this big hood, right? So she's not in Commodore outfit.
Okay.
We very, very briefly see a top-down flash image of a circle of cloaked figures all being blasted back away from the center. We see a flash of a massive explosion on some blue planet.
No, so not Mars. Got it. Okay.
Right, not Mars. It's definitely blue.
For once.
But it's a huge explosion, right? We see flashes of people seeming to be going crazy and losing their minds, clawing and tearing at their faces. We see one very quickly shoot themselves in the head. We see an image of a city being destroyed in this massive fireball hellscape, and we get an image of a planet just exploding.
Cool.
Just then, Agnes pulls back in horror, breaking the connection of the mind meld. She throws up. O watches calmly as Agnes catches her breath, and Agnes looks back at O, struggling to catch her breath. What do you need me to do? She says.
Okay, that's not how mind melds work, is it?
I mean, you can share memories with a mind meld. I think that's been established.
But they usually, like, they've said in the show previously that that's not something you just do with anybody. Like, it's very private and it's easy to do wrong. And if you do it wrong, you can cause damage to the other person's mind.
Yeah, I agree. This is a little more breaking that she just reaches over like, hey, let me just whip out this mind meld on.
Yeah, that's weird to me.
Yeah, let me just invade your mental space without even saying anything.
Well, again, we know that O is kind of shady, so I don't think she's that concerned about Agnes's mental health.
But she had removed her shades by now.
No, Brian.
I just slow pitched that one, and I apologize. That was not my intent. But yeah, point levied. Carry on.
Okay. I don't know. Even villain Vulcans don't seem to just like reach out and do that, because it seems like it even hurts them if it messes up. So
yeah,
Commodore O is so cool. She just does it.
Yeah, like if she suddenly breaks contact like that's supposed to leave both their minds scrambled, was my understanding of mind melds.
Right. So
I don't know.
It just, it would have been nice if there had just been like, they took that few extra seconds where she's like, I want to mind meld with you because I can't, I can't explain it. I have to show it to you. And then they took a little more gentle approach rather than reach over and just, my mind, your mind.
Yeah.
I am also a little confused by that immediately Agnes is on board. Like, okay, she showed you a vision, something you've probably never seen before.
Well, we get the sense
that contradicts sort of like her whole life's work of studying artificial intelligence. And she's like, oh, well, I saw a explosion montage. No further questions. Let's go. What do you need to do?
Well, we get the sense that because this is a mind meld, she's gotten much more than just a flash of images.
Yeah, she should understand the emotions.
Yeah, and experiences.
Yeah,
and we can see on her face that this is pretty much the case. Like she is completely shocked.
The audience probably doesn't have the proper context of all the images, but with a mind meld, it is probably also provided.
Well, given how fast the images go, all we get a sense is there's a lot of chaos and destruction.
I mean, haven't we seen this scene before, or am I thinking of something else?
I'm pretty sure you're thinking of Serenity.
Maybe that's it. It's starting to,
Because
go together.
It's Miranda
Yeah.
all over again.
Yeah, a little bit of Miranda, a little bit of Event Horizon.
Oh yeah, yep.
A little bit of Mass Effect. I know I'm the only one here who's probably played that game, but
We're going to rewrite Mambo number 5 here if you keep going.
a little bit of sci-fi in my life. Yeah, okay, let's not.
So yeah, Agnes is like, what do you need me to do? And so O holds out in her hand a small blue glowing triangle shaped thing, right? It's like a little blue capsule or something. She says, first, take this, and holds it out to Agnes. Agnes slowly reaches out and takes it as O says, it will allow us to track you. And Agnes puts it in her mouth. O says, it must be chewed. And with a quivering chin, Agnes forces herself to bite down, chewing the capsule. O says, what I'm going to ask you to do will require a terrible sacrifice. Cut to La Sirena. They're stuck in the artifact's tractor beam right now. The ship is shaking.
Back up a second.
Okay.
You know, it's a small thing, but in the Star Trek universe, seriously, they still have chewable vitamins. There's not just like a hypo spray you just whoosh, right into the bloodstream.
Yeah,
Nope,
that's a
you
very good point.
You have to take a little glowing blue pill.
Just okay. Minor theme. Let's move on.
The best place to track people is in their gums. Everyone knows that. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. She said chew. She didn't say just. Good point. She didn't say swallow. She said chew.
Yep. It's
So
like
maybe
some,
you're right.
it's some strontium 90, and it's just settled into her teeth, and that's how they're tracking it.
All right.
Okay,
Continue.
so La Sirena, they're still stuck in the artifact's tractor beam. The ship is shaking so violently, we even get a quick shot of Rios's ashtray with a half-burnt cigar falling off of the thing.
Have a cigar.
Rios angrily blames Raffi for convincing him to help Picard. And we're reminded that Picard is en route during Rios's rant. Picard is en route to a planet that's days away at maximum warp, and they're tractor locked to a Borg cube full of Romulans. Agnes is there too.
And Agnes is there too. Those are the three of them. Okay.
Rios asks if Raffi can hack the traffic control system. Raffi says she can't because the underlying code is all freaky Borg machine language. Agnes speaks up, says, just ask them to let us go. They don't want us, they want her. And we see Raffi. This is weird. We get a quick shot of Raffi kind of zooming in on some images. And like when I actually stopped to look at it, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but they're images of like the hand-drawn pictures that some of the ex-Borg Romulans were drawing in the previous scene or in a previous episode.
Oh.
And there's lots of like circles and interlocking circles and stuff.
Like on the La Sirena?
On the images that Raffi's looking at.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, just a weird little thing there. Okay, yeah. So various drawings of interlocking rings or orbitals or something like that. I don't know. Agnes is continuing. She's kind of freaking out. She says, wherever Picard took her, they'll hunt her down and destroy her. Just tell them we want to go home. Rios and Raffi, they both look at Agnes and then kind of exchange glances with each other. As we cut to the artifact, we see a line of XBs being held at disruptor point as Narissa is interrogating Hugh. Now, mind you, we don't know how he got caught because last we saw Hugh was as the door was closing and Elnor was there saying, please, my friends, choose to live.
He was with the child soldier.
Yeah, but now he's captured and Elnor is nowhere in sight. So I don't know.
Interesting. Okay.
Narissa says, where have you hidden Picard and the synth? Hugh doesn't answer. And one of the Romulans shoots one of the XBs. She asks him again, mentioning that she knows he was with them. And the bodies of 4 heavily armed guards were found shortly thereafter, which will be her second question. But for now, she says, please answer the first. Hugh looks at her and says, they're gone.
She is really bad at interrogating because that's a complex question. Just keep your answers simple.
Yeah, well, she has him at disruptor point, so, you know.
Well, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know.
You still want definitive, quick.
Yeah.
Yes,
he's
no
under
things.
pressure. You want to keep the answers simple so that they don't
Sure.
get all confused.
Tell me, because your life depends on it. If a train leaves Chicago going at 74 miles an hour, how many XBs does it take to screw in a light bulb?
So the question at hand is, where have you hidden Picard and the synth? And Hugh looks at her and says, they're gone. Narissa says, what was the destination? I strongly advise you not to say you don't know. Hugh meets her gaze and steals his face, resolved not to answer. Narissa says, I'm bored. Kill them all. And they do.
Oh, snap.
Each
Nice.
XB taking multiple shots right to the chest.
Whoa.
Including Hugh?
No, not Hugh. All the others. We get a quick shot of Narek getting into a small ship and starting it up. Back to Hugh. He's on his knees sobbing. Narissa says that she hates this vile cube. It's obscene, as are all the XBs. But that's not why they died. They died because of you, she says to Hugh.
Mm-hmm.
And she pulls out a knife and sticks it point to his throat. She says, because you helped Picard and the synth escape. Because you ruined years of patient work by dozens of operatives across hundreds of star systems. Because you may have doomed 1 trillion souls across half the galaxy. She goes on saying that she would kill him too, but he's Federation and therefore protected by that asinine treaty. So then she throws him to the floor and walks away.
So she's not even planning on killing him, and yet she's monologuing.
Yeah, this is
Yep.
classic villain technique.
This is
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, usually it's like you get a villain starts monologuing because it doesn't matter. I'm going to kill you anyways. But she knows she's not going to kill him.
Yep.
So she's like giving away the plot and
Does she give a like huge melodramatic laugh as she walks away?
No, she contacts Narek.
No, that's lame.
Yeah, so she throws him to the floor and walks away.
Float you halfway to the floor.
I have to say, Hugh very loyal to Picard. If he let all those other people die in this place,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
wonder
yeah.
about that.
Well, he was upset about it.
Because that's pretty
obviously.
freaking loyal.
I guess maybe he didn't think that she would actually like shoot them,
well,
because
after
he
the
seemed a
first
bit
one-
seemed a bit shocked.
Well, after the first one, it kind of like says, yeah, I'm serious. I will kill more. You would think that would
Maybe.
do something. Okay.
I don't
All
know.
of them, though. I mean, that's a lot from 1 to however
true.
many.
Granted,
That's all.
no. In that lineup, there were probably about 6 of them.
Okay,
Still, so from 1 to 5, that's still pretty.
that's a jump.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't all the XBs. It was
It's
just
a shame, man, because if there was 6, that's perfect. When you do 1, then you do 2, then you do 3, and the math works out perfect. Jeez Louise, these Romulans.
that's what they have computers for.
But only with numeric functions.
Yes. No thinking.
So she contacts Narek asking if he's ready. Narek says that he's leaving now, that he has a strong signal lock. So Narissa says, as we see La Sirena out in space, Narissa says that she'll let their guests go, as we see the tractor beam turning off and La Sirena jumps into hyperspace, being closely followed, not hyperspace, warp drive, being closely followed by Narek.
Obviously, yeah. Obviously.
Yep.
They're tracking the ship. It's the only explanation for the ease of their escape.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
we do get actually a quick exchange. I'm sorry, they haven't jumped to warp yet. We see Rios. He's like, yeah, you did it, at the ship's sudden nominal status. And Raffi says, it wasn't me. It has to be a trick. Rios says, oh, maybe. They still have to catch me, as he sits in his chair. But Agnes says,
He's so cool.
Yeah, 'cause he's so manly.
what about Elnor? Rios and Raffi give each other a well shit kind of look. Cut to Elnor running through the hallways of the cube.
He's still alive.
He finds Hugh with all the XBs.
Oh,
They have run up the curtain and joined the choir invisible, have they?
Yeah.
oh.
We hear Rios's or Elnor's badge kind of beeps. Rios is contacting him. Elnor responds. He says, go without me. This will not happen again. My help is needed here. Rios kind of looks around at the others. We're back on the ship now. As the main theme of the show is being heard. It's very noble. Rio says, everyone here thinks you're crazy and brave, adds Agnes. And brave, affirms Rios, as Raffi gives him a look. Elnor helps Hugh to his feet as Rios says, adios, kid, lights a cigar. And that's when they jump into warp, being followed closely by Narek.
Freaking cigar.
Now he's got 2 lit cigars. He's so cool.
Cut to opening credits.
All right. I wonder where it. Okay, so I thought we were just going to leave this board place, but it sounds like it's still going to be a set piece for a little bit.
Yeah, they spent a lot of money to build it. They might as well use it.
Surprised you've been in it for so long.
Yeah, and then they're still there, and looks like it's still going to have something to go. So, all right, interesting. Okay, all right, a couple minor things, but not too bad. I'm interested to see what's going to happen.
I am curious as to exactly what happened. Like, they didn't really explain why Elnor killed some dudes and then disappeared and then showed up again. And
yeah, how'd they catch Hugh without Elnor?
Catching Elnor, yeah.
Right. I don't know. We never see that part.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like Elnor would leave Hugh.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I agree. Just lazy narrative.
I blame editing.
Yeah, that's fair. And the writers and the directors.
Oh yeah, that too.
The director.
Oh,
this
executive
to me,
producers.
I would blame the director.
This to me smells like an editing error. Like something that was decided during editing that they couldn't quite get to work the way they wanted to, but they had to do the best they could.
Well, I will also say the 2 episodes do have different directors. So that could also be a problem by switching directors when losing that very close narrative piece.
Yeah.
Could be.
Fair.
Act 1. We open with a shot of a blue and green planet. This is Nepenthe. We see a view of distant mountains with great stone arches looming over them, like natural rock stone arches. Mm-hmm. Typical fantasy trope.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We're getting fantasy in our sci-fi, Dustin. Pan down.
We don't get any more religion in our sci-fi, because after Deep Space Nine and Battlestar Galactica, I am done.
So you pan probably don't want to watch Babylon 5.
I love Babylon 5.
I do too, but that's basically the entire plot.
It is, yeah.
Of everything.
Which I loved. I thought it was great, but yeah.
So the camera pans down to a forested setting, very serene. We see a small waterfall flowing into a small pond. At the edge of the pond, we see a rabbit with a small spiral horn sticking out of his forehead, nibbling at some leaves. We pan off to the side to a small clearing where Picard and Soji suddenly materialize through their portal.
Oh.
Immediately, a small humanoid figure silhouetted on a rise, covered in a cloak with fuzzy ears sticking up, points a bow and arrow at them.
What?
Damn Ewoks.
They put their hands up as the figure approaches, revealing a small girl, probably about 12 or 13, with some like red war paint stripes on her face.
Cool.
Picard says, "You might want to point that thing at my head. My heart is solid duratanium."
Ah, nice little reference.
Soji says, "You said this was a safe place." And Picard says, "Are we safe here, Kestra?" And the girl lowers her bow, looking back and forth between them. Picard says, "Are your mom and dad about?" Next shot, they're walking through the woods. Kestra is talking to Soji. Picard's kind of following behind. Aw, is a picture of a little bunny with a horn.
I had to look it up. That's adorable. That's the first thing I found.
Please don't show that to my kids. That's all they will want now.
Making a mental note.
Oh, no.
So Kestra is asking Soji about Picard. She's like, is he your grandpa? No. Is he your dad? No, I don't know him at all, says Soji. Basically, she says that he said he was a friend of the man that he called my father, but Soji doesn't know what to believe anymore. She doesn't know if she can believe him or whatever.
At least she's finally properly distrusting people.
Soji looks down at this thing that Kestra's holding in her hand, apparently. She says, "What's that?" Kestra says, "It's called a compass. It finds north." She explains she got it from her friend, Captain Crandall, over in Infinity Lake. He's even older than Picard.
Oh, jeez. Nice. Good job. That's good, like, stealth insult. Good work.
Kestra asks if Soji believes her. And Soji says, have you told me any lies yet? Kestra says, well, kind of. I mean, this is just a costume, referring to her clothes. She says, it's like a game, like my brother made it up. I'm not really a Vivine, wild girl of the woods. Soji says, you had me fooled.
Oh, they're bonding.
Kestra says, my arrows are real, though, but I would never shoot you because I'm a pacifist. But I could. Soji says, I'll keep that in mind. Kestra says, also, this compass is broken.
Huh.
Okay. Is this conversation going anywhere?
Nope. She turns to Picard. Kestra does.
It's a pretty classic, like, what? This kid is like 12 or 10 or...
Yeah, like preteen. Like she's like 13 or something.
Oh,
I was wondering why we're dwelling here.
Like just on the cusp of preteen. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
So Kestra turns to Picard and asks, who is her father? And Picard kind of is like, I mean, you've heard of Commander Data. And Kestra, her face lights up. She's like, whoa, looks at Soji. You're an android? Soji stops. Very concerned, confused look on her face. As Picard is like, she begins freaking out. Picard rushes over, tries to assure her, it's okay. Soji's like getting really freaked. Picard ends up calming her down. And he says, I know it must be very hard. Right, because apparently this is the first time that Soji is kind of being confronted with this idea and being forced to think of it. I guess I don't know.
Hey, she's had a rough day.
Yeah, they just literally got off of the cube.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
She broke up with her boyfriend. She punched through a bulkhead. She got irradiated.
More, he broke up with her.
Yeah.
And
she just got dumped.
Found out that she's not real.
Yeah, that too.
To top it all off.
Speaking of topping it off. Okay, anyway.
More wine?
Yes. So Picard ends up calming her, saying, oh, it must be very hard. Soji says, my dreams, my body, my parents, my sister, all of it was fake. Picard says, no, not Daj. Daj was real. And they both look at him. But Picard then says, I'm so sorry. Your sister is dead. Soji begins fighting back tears. One escapes. And she's like, whatever. None of this is real. Just get on with the mind games, and walks away. Finally, with the next shot, they arrive at a rather majestically rustic looking log house.
All right.
Kestra runs on ahead. Picard informs Soji that these are very old friends.
Oh, is this where we're finally going to see two people from the Next Generation that I know are in this series?
Walking out onto the deck in front of the house to trim some plants, we see none other than Deanna Troi.
Oh, okay.
As Kestra, she hears Kestra's call and looks up to see Picard approaching the house. She gets a big smile on her face and goes and greets him with open arms and a warm hug. And they embrace and have a moment. But then she kind of looks at him and says, you're in trouble. How bad? Picard says, bad enough. And there's a moment, and I might be interpreting this, but there is a moment here where Troi looks at Picard with a very concerned, knowing look on her face. And Picard assures her, he says, I'm fine. And my interpretation must be that she's thinking of his disease or whatever it is, his
Germanic syndrome,
or the thing that leads to that.
Okay. Yeah.
Whatever it is. That's my interpretation because they never say it outright, but there's a little moment like that.
So it's like, are you in trouble, or did you just wander out of the?
Do you know where you are?
Yeah, like I just pay some random guy to get on a spaceship and take me here.
I walked out my front door and I don't know where I am anymore.
Oh dear.
Oh geez.
She looks up.
Come on.
She looks up and sees Soji. So Troi says, welcome. And Picard introduces them, introducing Commander Deanna Troi.
Commander?
She made Commander during the series.
She made Commander during the series?
Didn't she? Yeah. Because she passed the test and she was able to sit on the bridge.
Well, no, she passed the... that wasn't necessarily to become a commander. That was like a special... That's like a special.
Oh, you're right.
Almost like a badge thing. Like it wasn't necessarily a rank. It was more like just a test or.
Was it to become an officer?
No, she was already an
like a
officer.
command officer to actually say that you are certified for command. If that makes any sense. I mean,
All right,
it was
so-
TNG, so they were a little vague about it, but yeah.
So according to Memory Alpha, by 2364, Troy held the rank of lieutenant commander.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
so
the end of the series?
You tell me.
I don't remember.
We're the fact checker.
It was like 100 years ago. Who knows?
I mean, I think she was a lieutenant commander in the series. So
Yeah, but she's a commander now.
well, actually, actually correct me. Maybe we'll correct this next time. But I think in this series they established if you're a lieutenant commander, it is polite to introduce you as a commander.
Oh, that makes sense.
As a kind of short thing. So really, maybe she never gained a higher rank, or maybe she did. It's perfectly reasonable to think she
Nope,
went to commander.
I've paged down through the Memory Alpha, and no, I think Brian was correct there. Let her know that the test was really about her ability to send a crew member to his death, which I do remember that episode, and Troy went on to successfully pass the test. She was then promoted to the rank of commander and began to include bridge command as part of her duty shifts.
Okay.
My bad. All right, cool.
I was right about something?
Yep.
That contextualizes the whole thing for me.
Get
I did
one.
not realize that's what was going on in that episode. And I've seen it since then.
It's been a while since I've seen it, so.
Yeah.
And I think after that, we only ever see her in command like during the midnight shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's like one episode where she
Right.
actually. I think there's like one episode where she actually takes command after that, if that.
Sorry, I just got totally called out in the chat room.
A woman can't gain ranks.
Yes, a woman gain ranks. I literally just said it is perfectly reasonable to say she gained a rank since then. Just it wasn't on screen when it did it, but even then I was wrong.
Although to be fair, and to not to be fair, but to make this as terrible as possible, remember they did have to give her a hint.
Oh.
No, they did not.
Forever since I've seen that episode.
No, they did not give her a hint. Commander Riker was shutting it down and saying,
I remember she was asking people for help, wasn't she?
attempted the engineering qualification several times without much luck, after which Riker told her the tests were canceled. However, he also gave her a hint, which let her know that the test was really about her ability to send a crew member to his death.
it wasn't really I don't think he was purposely giving a hint. He was saying you are obviously not command material. Like the way he said it, he was trying to, I think he was trying not to lie to her, but also trying not to give away the secret.
So he gives away the secret.
Yeah, pretty much.
But she picked up immediately on it because he phrased it weirdly. But I don't think he was purposely giving her a hint. And as far as we know, everyone, that might be part of the test is like, you tell them you failed and this is exactly what you say. We don't know that. I think it's an assumption to say that he was giving her a hint.
I'm not making that assumption. Memory Alpha is.
I know. Well, sometimes Memory Alpha can be wrong.
Heresy.
Unless they are quotes citing their sources properly.
So Picard introduces them.
Sorry, we did get a little off on the tangent, didn't we?
Introduces Commander Troy, right? But then also Dr. Soji Asha. And Soji says, just Soji. We cut to the interior of the house. We hear some light jazz music playing.
Nice.
As we see a man at the far end of the room at the counter grating some cheese.
I was really hoping he was going to be playing a trombone.
Playing trombone, like, having, hey, she's out in the woods, Deanna. Why don't you come on upstairs?
What?
I'll seduce you with my trombone.
Yeah.
I mean,
ladies love brass instruments.
I'll bet you he still can't play that solo.
You don't know what's sexy, what Beta Z considers sexy. That the trombone might be the saxophone of the Beta Z.
The trombone might be the saxophone of the Beta Z. That checks out.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Carry the two. Yeah, the math checks out.
I still say all Picard had to do to get that solo down was practice.
Yeah.
Picard.
Like it's not a hard solo. Riker, sorry.
Oh, Riker. Okay, yeah.
Screwed up that joke. We'll fix it in post. Okay. Anyway, cut to the interior.
Yeah, just say the joke again and I'll totally edit it in correctly.
No.
Okay.
So we see a man grating cheese. From outside, we hear Kestra shout, "Dad!" And the man says, "What?" Kestra says, "Come out here." The man says, "Stop yelling."
Oh my God! A real moment here in Picard. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
stop yelling.
Yeah,
Kestra
that's like
says,
my family.
Yeah, I had that conversation today.
Kestra says, "It's Jean-Luc Picard." The man stops and turns, revealing none other than William T. Riker himself.
Real number one.
He goes over the window to look out, but here's Picard already in the doorway saying, "Hello, Will." They hug.
Oh,
Yeah, look at him. There's a picture of them.
yeah.
They're so cute.
And no, Riker does not do the leg thing in this episode. I looked for it.
What?
He's old. He can't get the leg anymore.
Oh.
unless it's like a stool.
Not since the accident.
The accident. Is that
I don't
something? Oh, okay. You're just saying that. There have been any blue barrels in his.
So they hug, but then Riker kind of realizes what's going on. He says, "You need a place to hide out. Shields up. Perimeter scans to max."
Wait,
He tells
what?
Picard they've been having some trouble lately with the Kzinti
Wait, say that again. Like, why did Riker put the shields up?
because
Wait,
Picard
shield?
needs a place to hide out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, apparently his home and surrounding areas are protected by shields and perimeter scans because they've been having trouble with the Kzinti lately.
I think he was just saying that so he didn't come across as like a paranoid dude. Because if he was really having trouble, would he let his son and daughter wander the woods?
I don't know.
So yeah,
Picard suggests that they run anti-cloaking scans too. Riker says Romulans. Picard
Wow.
says, "Mm-hmm." And so
could be Klingons. Klingons
So-
have cloaks.
Riker initiates the anti-cloaking scans, and we hear the computer beep in acknowledgement. Riker asks Picard if he remembers what he said when he left to go plan the great supernova rescue. Picard recites, "So you want to be ass deep in Romulans for the rest of your life." Riker says, "I also reminded you of Newton's fourth law of thermodynamics." Picard recites, "No good deed goes unpunished."
Oh.
Troy enters, mentioning that she told Kestra to show Soji how to find the shower. She mentions to Riker that Soji appears human. She even has, complete emotional expressions, but she can't read her. She can't sense anything from her.
Okay.
And Picard says,
Okay.
he says, "I think I'm in over my head," and explains that his plan fell apart and that the girl is still in danger. And Riker, in his infinite wisdom, says, "Well, sounds like you need a new plan."
No way.
Troy
All right.
says,
What
Troy
plan
says,
fell
"Wha-
apart? I don't. What was the plan that fell apart?
to gather a ragtag crew and go
Uh-huh.
find Soji.
Well,
That-
plan
that was-
success.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
he
succeeded there.
didn't have his plan did not fall apart.
Well,
His-
the plan was also to keep Soji safe, and he hasn't completed that part yet.
That's not a plan. That's a goal.
Yeah.
Quit
a mission
making me
statement.
quote the Speaker of the House.
Well, Riker says that he needs a new plan, and Troy says one that starts with a nap. She tells Picard he can rest in Thad's room while Will makes dinner.
That's
Riker says,
that's very condescending to say to an old man that just wandered into your home, like, you know what? You go take a nap while
We'll have a
I.
lie down, Grandpa.
Yeah.
"Well, it's Troy." She can tell that Picard's tired and exhausted and
Yeah.
old.
Yeah, I guess she could get away with it by saying, "I can sense that you're tired."
I mean, Picard, to be fair, already took like 3 naps in the course of this conversation. So
This is a really long episode.
So she says that Picard can rest in Thad's room while Will finishes dinner. Riker says pizza in the wood-fired oven, tomato and basil from our garden. Kestra enters with a bundle in her hands, and Riker says, "Behold, a wild girl of the woods." She hands him the bundle, saying, "Elena Sindeliman Namad." That's what she says. We're not supposed to know what it means.
Okay.
Okay.
She's speaking Elvish for some reason. Got it.
Yeah.
Riker, looking at the bundle, it's apparently some raw animal, skinned animal of some sort. "Nicely done," he says. Troy says, "You cut out the venom sacs?" Kestra says, "Nope, I left them in so we can all spew black bile and die." and runs back outside with a towel.
Adorable?
Sassy.
Yeah.
Not really a pacifist, though.
Like she's at that age where she can still be childlike and adorable, but old enough to be sassy, you know.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like
She's pretty
ninja pacifist.
So Riker says pizza with tomato, basil, and non-venomous bunny corn sausage.
Bunny corns. Oh.
Bunny corns are venomous.
Apparently so.
Through the horn? Through the teeth?
I don't know. Whatever it is, they have venom sacs.
So another small Star Trek nitpick. Are they about to eat real meat?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because it has been established in Star Trek Enterprise that, civilized people don't eat meat.
Yeah, but this is Riker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That.
they eat meat in DS9, but they
Yeah.
do also make fun of the Ciscos for that. So
Yeah, that's true. So, all right.
So Riker says you can stay as long as you need to. Whatever it is, we can handle it. Meanwhile, we see Soji finishing her shower. It's like an outdoor shower stall, I guess, at the
Weird.
side of the house. Kestra's there kind of chatting with her. She's asking Soji questions about Data, like questions relating to Data. She asks, can you play the violin? No. Do you like Sherlock Holmes? Well, I mean, I guess so. Can you run super fast, jump really high, and bend steel with your bare hands? As it turns out, yes, I can. They make their way to Kestra's room because Soji is finished with her shower now. And they discuss various things, including how Soji has blood, spit, and even mucus. Data didn't have mucus.
No mucus.
As they're talking, Soji's looking around the room and sees the
How
walls
does Kestra know all this?
yeah,
Like humans.
because she grew up on stories of Data.
I know, but
and they talked about
it's
things
very
like that.
specific. Yeah.
Hey, they spent a lot of time on that ship. There are
Yeah,
only
but-
so many people they can talk about from their past.
I know, but then they went off and got their own ship where they could have had adventures and things to talk about.
Yeah, but this is
Yeah.
Data. Riker must have talked about Data.
All right.
Does he have?
Data, who's been
I mean, I
Brought
think
to
he must
godhood at
have,
this point.
considering the given situation.
Yeah. I mean, geez. All right. Well, as we talk about our died for our sins Data, let's continue.
So Soji looks around the room, noticing that the walls are covered in drawings and various hand-drawn maps of different sorts. They continue talking about Data. Soji's not entirely sure about Data being her father, because she was only made about 3 years ago or so. Why would Data make an android with mucus and saliva? Kestra says, well, he was always trying to be more human. He was always trying to do human things like dream and tell jokes and learn how to ballroom dance.
Yeah, the most human of activities.
I do remember that.
Soji mentions that when Kestra said, when Kestra said android back then, that was really up until that point, she was still clinging to the idea of being human. And so Kestra's like, oh, and so she asks if she's okay. Soji starts crying and Kestra says, no, don't cry. I think you're amazing. Soji says, because I have mucus. Kestra says, and because you're 3 years old, so I get to be the boss of you.
It's like a tiny Agnes.
Soji chuckles at this too. Meanwhile, Troy is leading Picard into Thad's room, but we get a moment before she opens the door where she kind of stops and takes a breath, kind of collecting herself as she enters the room.
Ugh.
His room, by the way,
Die.
is the walls are also covered in drawings and maps. Picard asks Troy about the language that Kestra was speaking. Troy explains it's Vivine, spoken by the wild girls of the wood, and she points out one of the maps. Picard mentions that he remembers the first time he met Thad. He was also speaking some sort of made-up language, and he couldn't have been more than 5 or so. Troy says, actually, that was the second time, as she holds up a picture of Picard holding a baby. And she mentions last week would have been his 18th birthday.
Oh.
I called it.
Picard gives her an empathetic look, and Troy says, we're fine, really. Kestra still aches for him, but with each day it fades a little bit more. Picard says, seeing that happen must be a different ache for you. Troy kind of looks at him for a moment and then kind of shakes out and switches to a smile and says, it's wonderful to see you, Jean-Luc. And they kind of continue on a little bit. Picard explains that basically as soon as they figure out their next move, they're going to be heading out. And Troy reminds him that he can stay as long as he likes, but she's also worried about, something happening to Kestra. She says to Picard, "I'm not as brave as I used to be." Picard says, "Then you're getting wiser." And Troy exits. Cut to black.
It was a kind of I kind of like that reunion.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
I mean, everyone's kind of seemed like right. Like no one seemed to be acting weird.
Yeah, and it seemed kind of real, like with Riker saying, "Oh, stop yelling." Yeah, that was cute.
Mhm.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that was a lot. That was intended to be funny, and it was a lot funnier than the ridiculous French accent.
Mhm.
Well, I correction. The ridiculous French accent was funny, but not for probably the reasons they intended.
No, I think maybe it was the reason they intended.
Maybe, I don't know. All right. Cool. All right.
Act 2. We're at La Sirena. They've discovered that they're being followed. Basically, there's a small, fast scout ship that's keeping just at or beyond the limits of their scanners. We find out that this sort of small ship is called a Snakehead. It's a Romulan thing. It has double sub-thrusters, massive firepower for their size. Raffi says, "Can you shake him?" Rios says, "Take a seat."
Why?
I'm confused.
Being cool.
Wait,
Rios is cool.
I thought the Snakehead was just out of their scanner range.
Oh, it's just at or beyond, like just enough that they can notice it. I don't know.
So he's trying to stay just out of their sensor range, but every once in a while can see a little.
Yeah, we do get mentioned that Rios is like, "Oh, he's real good. Like he's good. They're able to."
But I'm better.
Yeah.
So Raffi he's like, "Take a seat." Dude, you're doing maneuvers at warp speed. Like inertia is not if inertia is a factor, you're
no. This is a Rios's cool moment.
Yeah, okay.
Because he's just like, take a seat.
Take a seat, man. Okay.
Agnes is looking kind of scared. They drop out of warp, and basically Rios explains that now they just wait for their tail to overshoot them, and then they lay in an alternate course for Nepenthe in case he doubles back. And by the time he realizes, he'll be hours ahead of them, right? Okay. Agnes speaks up. She's like, "I'd love to be the fun crew member who says, 'Let's hide in that comet,' and it turns out to be a giant Garmagander or something. But do you guys actually want to go to Nepenthe?" Raffi looks at her. It's like, this isn't an outing, honey. We're going to pick up Picard and the girl. Agnes stands up. She's very agitated. Raffi's like, I remember back when we first met you. She's like, I remember you were so excited standing there in your little blue jacket, so excited about going out into space and meeting a real life sentient synth. But it seems the closer we get to finding her, the less you want to be there.
Wait, Raffi is saying this to her?
Yeah.
Okay. Since when did Raffi all of a sudden get all on board for this mission? She was supposed to get dropped off someplace.
Yeah.
Well, Raffi's just calling Agnes out.
Well, I know, and Agnes should be calling Raffi. I'll be like, motivation.
Well, Raffi's not the one suddenly saying, "I want to go home" after being all excited about the mission.
Yeah, but Raffi is the one saying, "Hey, let's get in further," when she was the one that said, "I don't even want to get involved."
Yeah, we've had a bit of a reversal here in roles.
Yeah, so like Raffi should be calling her out on that.
But that's not the issue at hand.
Well, I know, but
Agnes is the one that's like, "I want to go home," and Raffi's like, "I thought you didn't want it. I thought you
we're
wanted
not
to
having
do
a logical debate." I mean, obviously, we've established that Agnes is an agent. Like, she could very easily deflect this.
Agnes continues freaking out.
Okay.
She says,
I'm sorry. We got back up another second. What is a Garmagander?
I have no idea.
Okay. I didn't want to let that go. Like, I thought maybe that was a thing from lore or something that I didn't know about.
At first, I thought maybe it was an attempt at a Star Wars reference. But one, that's not a comet.
Yeah.
And two, I don't think that's what it's called.
Right.
A Gormangander, is that what it's called?
Something like that.
Is a non-atmospheric organism capable of living in the vacuum of space, described as a space whale, though technically not a marine animal.
Space whale.
Looks
was that the thing that attacked Earth in Star Trek 4?
No.
Space whale?
No.
Okay.
Could have been space whales.
Looks like it's a Deep
Why
Space
the fuck
Nine.
sea whales?
What's the abbreviation? No, I just look that up.
DS9?
No, it's Discovery. Excuse me. They're
Oh.
Discovery.
No, Discovery didn't have space whales. That was what do they call them? Those little pod thingies.
Well, those are the episodes they're citing for this.
Oh, really?
Yep, Discovery and Short Treks. What the?
Yeah. Short Treks was a marketing thing because they wanted people to keep subscribing to CBS All Access in between seasons. So they had to have these really short 5-minute, doesn't really do anything episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's a thing that they've referenced before. So here's a picture. It's gross.
What the?
Oh, he's cute.
No.
What is that? It looks like something that Stranger Things.
That's a face a mother could love.
Is it?
I mean, if the mother is a demon.
I don't know, Adam, do they explain anything about family social dynamics for this
I
species?
don't think so.
Oh.
Yeah, they are an endangered species.
Is it a season 2 thing? Because I only saw the first season.
I don't know.
Okay.
The first episode that's referenced is called "Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad," and it is maybe. I don't know. Doesn't tell me. Memory Alpha. Hold on. Production. No. Oh no, it's season set. It's episode 7.
Episode 7. Oh, is that the thing that makes their? Because there was so in Discovery there is a creature that lives in space, but it does not. I do not remember it looking like that. So I'm just, anyways.
Well, there's another picture, but it's not great.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It looks
Agnes is still freaking out.
and she does.
He says, I just want to go home. Turn the ship around, point it at the Earth, and push play. Picard can look after himself, and someone else can find that. Picard can look after himself, and someone else can find that synth. Why does it have to be me?
Somebody permission.
Giving some away.
Hey.
Rios is like, well, I mean, I got a paying client, so we're continuing on. Raffi decides that she's going to take care of this. She gets up and goes to Agnes, says, okay, come along with Auntie Raffi. She's going to hook you up with whatever you need, okay? And starts walking away with her. Agnes says, is it cake? Raffi says, you bet it's cake. And we see the ship jump to warp.
What is this?
I don't. Oh, I just listened. I was so ready to believe that Agnes was this secret badass. And to watch her go from what she did back down to this, which is kind of what she was portraying, is very disappointing.
I mean, okay, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt for like another scene, because maybe this is all going to plan. She has split them up. Like, she's just going to assassinate Raffi right now out of sight, and she go back to Rios, be like, you're so cool. Why don't we just turn around and then stab him in the throat?
Well, she did just recently murder her longtime love.
I know.
That was like days ago.
And then she
kept
Rios
things together.
afterwards.
Yeah, she was keeping things together surprisingly well after that.
Yeah.
Seemingly.
So, I don't know. The fact that I could understand like all the stress and emotion building up to a person to freak out.
Well, also add to the fact that they're now being followed, and she knows it's because of her, so that just adds to the stress.
Well, I mean, is it that she's being followed by?
Well, we did see her take the tracking pill.
Oh, that's right.
And we know that Narek's connected with Commodore O.
Oh.
So
Okay.
the Romulan is. So she believes that the Romulans are tracking their ship because of her.
That's my guess.
How would she make that connection?
Because
Commodore O explained that this capsule would be so that they can track her.
Yeah,
and now suddenly they're
but-
being tracked by somebody.
Yeah,
for the
but-
Federation to track her, not Romulans.
Yeah. We
I mean,
know
what
that.
if they're working together? We don't know that yet.
We don't know that.
Agnes is just freaking out.
Yeah, I know, and I'm just saying that. Does Agnes realize they're working together?
I don't know.
The answer is
Well,
no.
regardless, I mean, she knows they seem to be tracking and it's her fault, so she probably wants to lead them away from their quarry.
Well, she knows that the Romulans are looking for Soji, and she knows that Commodore O wanted her to go with Picard to find Soji. And so now they're being tracked to Soji's location.
Right. So I think
it doesn't seem like a huge leap of logic for Agnes to think.
She's probably jumping to that conclusion. Whether that's the correct conclusion, we don't know. And it really doesn't matter. That's the conclusion she's jumping to.
All right.
Wrong or not.
It just seems like a weird. It's like I was sent on a mission by the CIA for some reason to follow this other guy around. And then all of a sudden we're being chased by the KGB. I'm not automatically going to assume the CIA and the KGB are in collusion.
I would
not.
Why? I mean, that seems such a leap.
Yeah.
Have you seen politics lately?
Well, okay, sorry.
Okay.
40 years ago.
I'm using. Besides, so the KGB doesn't exist anymore, technically.
Yeah.
As far as we know, maybe it's a super secret KGB. Cut to Riker checking the fire in the oven as Picard approaches him. Picard explains that he's worried about his pilot. He's worried that something may have happened. Riker says, "What have you gotten yourself into this time?" But Picard...
Again, like this, they had this weird portrayal of Picard. Like, obviously Picard's here; he needs to hide. Oh, Picard, what did you get yourself into this time?
Yeah, this is weird.
Well, wait, I thought Picard told him he needed a place.
Yeah, they know he's in trouble.
Well, yeah, they told him. Well, Picard told him.
Riker assumed that as soon as he saw him here.
Yeah.
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 Picard
so
affirmed
did Troy.
it with the look.
Yep.
Yeah, that is weird. Like, why would they assume Picard was in trouble?
Well,
or that he's always getting himself into trouble. What character are they talking about?
I don't know. Riker says, "What have you gotten yourself into?" And Picard refuses to tell him because he doesn't want them to get involved. And he's sorry he even came here. Coming here was a desperate impulse. Riker's like, "All right, I'll stick to making pizza. I'm just thinking about how great it would be if ignorance of danger was all it took to keep it away from the people we love."
Oh my God, the smartest person in the show so far.
Yeah.
Riker holds up.
Wait, did Riker also direct this episode?
Yeah.
No, he didn't direct this.
He did not direct this one. Okay.
No, this was directed by the guy whose name looks like Darren Aronofsky.
Oh,
but it's not Darren Aronofsky. It's some other name.
Aaron is Doug.
If this episode was directed by Darren Aronofsky, this would be the greatest show ever. You thought the first act was dark.
I thought the first act was stupid,
or sad or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, Riker holds up something to Picard. Riker explains it's Antarian basil. He explains to Picard that the soil here, right, this basil grows like weeds. Everything grows like weeds here because the soil here has regenerative powers.
Ooh.
Which is why they moved here in the first place.
Wait, did they take over that one planet that we saw from Star Trek 9?
I don't think we've seen this planet before.
Okay, all right.
Star Trek 9?
Yeah, this 9th Star Trek movie, Insurrection. Just because we went from TOS to TNG doesn't mean we didn't quit calling Star Trek 7.
Oh, it's true.
9. Star
Trek. See, whenever you give it a number, I always think original series. When I think of the TNG movies, I always think of the names.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of a nerdy thing to do to still keep track of names. But yeah, Star Trek Insurrection is what I was.
You're calling me a nerd?
And I was calling myself. That was a nerdy thing for me to do. Because you're right. It's not called Star Trek 9 Insurrection. It's just called Star Trek Insurrection. But for supposedly to make things brief references, we just refer to the numbers. That did not work this time.
Fail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you get past 5, I have no idea. I can't count that high. So Kestra walks past them with Soji, saying that she's taking her to see the garden.
Hey, I'm sorry. At this point, really, we should be interviewing Soji and getting Soji and Picard connected and figured out because, like, they need to talk things out.
Hey, this is only Act 2, Dustin.
Well, and wouldn't Soji want to know? Like, wouldn't she have questions?
Yeah, why is she hanging around with this 13-year-old kid? She has a freaking PhD. She needs to be talking to the adults.
But it's not a real PhD.
She's only 3, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like she should be wondering who this old man was, how he knows her, how he knows about her sister.
But it's only Act 2.
And she's just going to go for a while not caring and then think about it later and be like, oh yeah, I should probably interrogate that old man that kidnapped me.
Yeah, I don't know. Why not? I didn't write this. I'm just the messenger.
Oh, we know. We don't blame you.
If this
So,
story
Kat-
were submitted to
Your
me,
face.
I would definitely have that note for the author.
Yeah, exactly.
So Kestra and Soji go past. They exchange a couple lines in Vivine. Riker looks impressed. Soji mentions that she read Thad's Vivine dictionary. Oh no, Kestra says that Soji read it. But it was like 300 pages in like 2 minutes, which is it's crazy. But now Soji knows how to talk Vivine.
Because she's a robot.
Soji,
There was a
Soji-
grammar lesson in there as well.
Well, it's a dictionary.
Dictionaries don't usually have grammar.
They have tenses.
I think I get the feeling this is a made-up language, so
Yeah.
it just uses the same grammar that.
Same grammar structure as English.
Or
Yeah.
it's a very simplified grammar structure. It doesn't have to be based on English. In fact, if you want a simple grammar structure, English is the last language you want to base it on.
Okay, I assume it's a made-up language by the child, so whatever the child's native language is copying that grammar structure.
Could be.
Is that clear? Okay.
We might find out.
Okay.
We won't find out.
Spoiler alert.
Soji notices the
Damn it.
pizza, and she does a very obvious Data style head tilt. Like the actress did not practice this enough, or the director said, no, make it more obvious. Because it's very poorly executed. Like, you know how Data does that head tilt whenever he's curious about something?
Yeah.
Like
This
a
girl
dog,
does it, but like it's obvious that she's trying to do the Data head tilt.
Mhm.
But Riker notices. He introduces himself to her, and they do continue on to the garden. Picard and Riker remaining at the stove.
Oh my god. Okay. Okay.
Riker begins speculating on Picard's situation.
Wait, Krista, is there like a trope for, hey woman, take the kids outside while the men stay inside and talk about your fate? Like, is there a name for that trope?
I mean, the patriarchy.
That's not a trope.
I don't know that there's a necessarily specific trope, but that's definitely something that you see in our culture. We'll let the men talk.
Well, they're not telling Soji to go away.
No.
Yet.
I know, but I'm just saying that the writing and the kind of her just instinctively doing that when really you should be taking control of your destiny here. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
She's
she's
going to see the garden.
very assertive up to this point. Like, I understand if she's just kind of a little broken, but at the same time, I've gotten the feeling from her that she would confront Picard. She already kind of did on the cube.
It gets better.
Okay.
And by better, do you mean worse?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Okay. Let's keep going then.
So Riker, after they leave, Riker begins speculating with Picard about Picard's situation. He's like, well, you talked about cloaks, so obviously Romulans.
No, it could be Klingons.
No, Romulans.
No, I think personal cloaks, and I don't think Klingons do personal cloaks, but Romulans do.
Oh, okay. Good observation.
He mentions that Picard is exhibiting a lot of fear and anxiety for their safety. So Tal Shiar.
Yeah, because regular Romulans aren't dangerous enough, guys.
Well,
Not
they're
anymore.
They're scattered to the wind, but
Not since
somehow
their
they
planet
still
blew
fund-
up.
Yeah, they still fund a major, scary.
The
spy.
Romulan Free State, by the way, is the main faction.
Right.
He mentions that it's not Picard necessarily on the run, but it's Soji on the run. But why? Maybe because she's an android, but not just any android. Riker says, I'd recognize that head tilt anywhere. The kid's got Data in her DNA.
She's Data to the core.
Data to the core.
Oh,
Maybe he got some of his essence.
I also love that he said DNA just to really further mangle the science.
Yeah.
So bad.
Muddle the metaphor as much as possible.
He goes on to call Picard arrogant. He
Uh-huh.
says classic Picard arrogance for wanting
my
to keep it a
God.
secret. He lectures Picard about always being the one who wants to make the decisions and give the orders, which is fine when you're on the bridge of a starship. But
Yeah,
now you're
that's what
but
you're
now
supposed to do.
but now you're dealing with a teenager, more or less.
A teenager.
More or less.
Freaking doctorate.
More
She's 3.
she's 3.
No, she is not 3. She has been built to emulate that age. She is in her 20s.
No, she's in her 3.
Besides, again, this is the future, so like 20 is the new 12.
No,
Yeah.
but no,
20 is the new 3.
if you have a doctorate, you are a full-grown adult with your own will. Like,
but it's not a real doctorate. It's made up memory of a doctorate.
But they don't know that.
Yeah, they don't know she's only 3.
Riker doesn't know that.
They just took one look at her. Well, obviously, we better talk about what we're going to do with this child.
He says more or less.
More or less.
You know, give or take 10 or 20 years.
20 is more or less than a teenager. In fact, it's 1 year more.
I feel like this is very condescending.
Anyway, he suggests that maybe
they're all old now. They're all, in their 80s and 60s or whatever. So even somebody with a PhD in this era is kind of like a youngin to them.
So, see, that's the thing, though. But he specifically said teenager.
More or less,
which really emphasizes that not capable of making their own decisions, not just like, not even the courtesy of young adult or, just.
Yeah, but Riker needs to have something to relate with Picard on because his child is a teenager.
Oh, God, you're right. This did get worse.
Oh, I feel
He also
dirty.
suggests that he says to Picard, I'm not sure you're up to it. Picard says, perhaps I'm not. Riker says, there you go. Baby steps. Picard affirms baby steps.
So it sounds like Picard is not that arrogant. If he was able to that quickly admit that he might be in over his head.
Classic Picard arrogance.
What? Where are they getting this thing of Picard being so arrogant?
Yeah, that's been a running theme.
I don't know if it means what they think it means.
Yeah.
He's so arrogant, willing to accept his flaws and adjust his own lifestyle to circumstances. Wait a minute.
The arrogance of that man.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of do I need to rewatch the TNG, which, doesn't take much to get me to do that, but to kind of where are they getting this idea that Picard was this really arrogant person other than maybe once in a while?
Well, he was French.
Yeah.
With a French accent.
Prejudice.
Yep. I come by it honestly.
I mean, I just watched an episode where he was actually humble enough to listen to, listen to other people and was able to.
Yeah, but that was 3,000 years ago, Dustin.
Back during the Romulan-Vulcan split.
Yeah.
There's a time travel episode.
Yeah. There was a time travel episode where but it wasn't 3,000 years though.
My favorite is Time's Arrow.
Which one's that?
That's the one with
was that the one with the
where he meets Guinan?
Where he meets Guinan and
what the hell is his name?
Mark
Twain. Author. Mark Twain.
Yeah, Mark Twain. That's also the one I was thinking about. But that's Mark 300.
That's Time's Arrow.
Nice.
Where Data, or at least his head, ages 200 years more than the rest of his body.
We always called it the Data's Head episode.
It's an accurate description. Everyone would know what you're talking about if they'd seen it.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So now
Picard.
We cut to the garden. Troy is there. Troy says to Soji, have you ever seen a real tomato? As Soji is looking at a tomato at this very moment. Soji says, I've never had anything that didn't come from a replicator. Troy says, try one, and hands it to her. Soji takes the tomato in her hands, kneels down on the ground like this, and takes a bite, and it kind of spurts all over her face like a tomato does. But she likes it, and she's like, it tastes so real. Troy decides to send Kestra to take some of these tomatoes over to Riker. Right, go help Riker with the pizza. Kestra talks back in some strange language, but goes. She leaves. And Soji's like, that wasn't Vivine. Troy says, Harpanthi, spoken by the mind witches of the southern ice.
Oh my God.
And she goes on. Yeah. She explains that Thad. She explains that Thad invented 11 languages. Wow. 12 if you count Palpla, the language of the butterflies. But that doesn't have any words, only wing beats.
What the hell?
It's a little tiny Tolkien, basically.
She goes on to explain that Thad, having been born and raised on starships, longed to have a homeworld of his own. He was fascinated by the idea of homeworlds. So he always wanted a homeworld of his very own. So he invented one and called it Ardani, which means home. They came to Nepenthe when he got sick, and Nepenthe became his homeworld. He loved it there. Soji asks what he had, and Troy explains that he had mandaxic neurosclerosis, a silicon-based virus, very rare, and in theory, completely curable. All you have to do is culture the infected cells in an active positronic matrix. But by the time he got sick, there were no positronic matrices because of the ban.
What?
Because of the ban. You can't make...
Yeah, no, I understand that. What?
It's a silicon-based virus.
It attacks all the silicon in your body.
Sure. And causes mandaxic neurosclerosis.
I feel like this should be dumb, but it doesn't piss me off. It's just, okay, if Data had been alive, he could have saved their son.
If only.
Whatever.
If only Mars hadn't exploded. If only the Federation hadn't banned all synth research. Right? So
that is so stupid.
Yep. That is entirely ridiculous.
This is how I know I'm broken. This should piss me off so much for being how stupid it is, but I'm not. I'm not.
You've been desensitized.
I have. I've been completely desensitized. It's my level required for stupidity is completely blown.
No, maybe it's the break that we took, but I'm right there with no. This is dumb. This is the stupidest thing ever.
You know what? You take Krista. Take the torch for me. Carry it.
I'll do my best. This is like beyond a MacGuffin. Like, this is just dumb. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
Tug on your heartstrings. Why is no one feeling anything? I specifically requested it. That's the level of this nonsense right here. It's like, oh, if only these terrible people had done that terrible thing.
Like, if that was the only cure for a disease, I'm pretty sure they would have kept it around. Come on.
No, because of the ban.
No, that's dumb.
Yeah.
And somebody somewhere who's not part of the Federation would have continued it. They could have traveled there and had it. No, this is stupid.
Romulans?
This is William T. Riker. He would have gone out of Federation space and found somebody who was willing to do it to save his son.
Look at Julian Bashir in DS9. His parents had him genetically enhanced so that he was, quote unquote normal / a genius.
Yeah, the freak.
And that was highly illegal. And his parents did it with no problems.
Well, not no problems. They did get caught, but
eventually.
Actually, but you're right. There was a black market, and then they found it and was able to do it.
So the conversation continues on. Troy. So this kind of a direction shift in the conversation. Troy empathizes with Soji that this is all very new to her. That Soji doesn't know anything. Soji says that she doesn't know anything except that the Romulans want to figure out where she came from for some reason. She confides in Troy that Narek, she's like one Romulan in particular, Narek, explains that Narek tricked her into believing that he cared about her. She thought he even loved her. She trusted him.
Oh, for God's sake.
But it was all a mind game. She goes on saying that she doesn't trust anyone. She doesn't trust Troy. She doesn't trust Kestra. She especially doesn't trust Picard. How does she know it's not another game?
Why especially Picard?
Because he's so arrogant.
Yeah, just oozes arrogance.
Well, all she knows of Picard right now is that he suddenly showed up when she activated and said, "Come with me," took her to this weird planet and said, "Hey, Data's your dad. You're an android."
Yeah, so maybe
she,
one, shouldn't be interviewing him, but two, I understand her not wanting to trust him. I am not arguing that. I am wondering why he's at the top. He literally just saved her.
Nope.
Why is he the least trustworthy?
How does she know it's not another game?
Why is she not confronting him?
God bless her for learning her lesson of not trusting people, but
she really is only 3 years old.
Yeah. She says, she continues, there's more. She says to Troy, she says, that they bring me here. You bring me here, surround me with friendly people and good food. And then we hear Picard interrupt her and torture you, destroy you. She looks up at Picard. He says, "Yeah, you're right. All this is an elaborate plot. I wouldn't trust any of us if I were you. Soji gets up and shoves her way past him, like violently pushes him. Fortunately, Riker had come up and was right there and caught Picard. And he's like, hey. And Picard's like, no. It's fine. I deserve that. He doesn't say that. But
what? Oh, okay. I will say
he hasn't grown that much.
I'm vamping as I catch up with where I am in my notes.
Right.
You know, I don't trust the writers. I don't trust the directors. I don't trust the editors. I don't trust the producers.
Yes.
So
I don't trust anyone either.
Michael Chabon.
Soji shoves past him. Riker catches him. He's like, Riker says to Picard, he says, all you had to say was dinner is served.
What?
No, I get it. Like he said,
and Picard. I didn't write this down, so this is from memory. But Picard says something along the lines of like, she could have broken me in half. I guess I should be reassured that she didn't.
I know if she almost caused you to break a hip. You know, if he had actually fallen.
Troy stands up and says, she says, this probably isn't something a ship's counselor should say, but you had it coming. And then goes on to lecture Picard. She basically lectures Picard that this isn't a game for Soji, right? Apparently Picard was being kind of tongue in cheek with his whole, like, you're right, this is a plot kind of thing. But
yeah, he was.
She lectures. Yeah, she lectures Picard that no, this isn't a game. Soji is freaking out. She doesn't know who to trust. She thinks everyone's against her. You're a dick.
And you just kidnapped her.
Yeah,
basically.
She doesn't say Picard's a dick, but that's the gist of it.
Fair enough. For making the joke about this is a plot was that's a good point.
Yeah,
but I mean, him saying I don't blame you for not trusting
that makes it better.
Well, no, I think it would acknowledge it. Like, yeah, I know you don't trust me right now. Let me try to gain your trust or prove it to you. You kind of acknowledge the situation is pretty messed up.
See, that would have been old Picard from TNG.
This is new.
This is new. Yeah.
Maverick
He's badass.
Picard. Yeah.
I like that Maverick Picard.
Mm-hmm.
The new Maverick Picard. All right.
Okay, so we hear Kestra calling for Riker, and we get a quick shot of black smoke coming out of the smokestack or whatever of the furnace, the oven. Black smoke. Riker rushes over. Meanwhile, Troy tells Picard that he needs to be like Picard, right? Compassionate, patient, and curious. She suggests that Picard lets them help. Right? Pretend that the dinner table is the ready room of the Enterprise, and we'll find a way forward together. And we hear Riker suddenly shout from the distance, "Cancel red alert!" as he holds something up as Picard and Troy turn to look. "Burnt tomato," he says. Picard, chuckling, looks back at Troy and says, "Dinner is served." And he and Troy walk arm in arm over to the table.
All right.
Okay.
Cut to black. And that's the end of Act 2. So, Dustin, I'm going to bounce this over to you to kick off Corrections Corner.
Before we get too far to Corrections Corner. Okay, this episode's been kind of fun, but I think
you got to say the line, Dustin.
We need to back up a second.
Thank you.
Before we get to Corrections Corner. Because I feel like this episode's been it's been kind of fun, but I think it's ready to get serious at this point.
I hope so.
I hope so. I just realized the last joke about, cancel red alert. It was a burnt tomato. I was like, okay, the cuteness is done. We need to get serious.
That was good. That was past the line for you.
I don't know, for whatever reason, that was past the line. Everything else with
everything else is fine, but red alert, no.
No, I don't know, because I felt like they were about to have a serious conversation. And then it got sidetracked with the joke, and I was like, I'm kind of craving that. So hopefully we get
the serious conversation.
I was craving the serious conversation.
Okay.
Because we've done enough jokes. All right. So with that, Willie will go into some Corrections Corner, and since we've had our inadvertent hiatus, I decided to put a little extra work into it and just really nitpick the heck out of everything.
I had a similar approach.
All right.
But I didn't follow through.
Okay, so I actually re-listened to our last 2 episodes just to kind of catch up. And I noticed a Corrections Corner I need to correct from episode 5. So this is 2 episodes ago.
So this is a correction on a Corrections Corner.
No. This was never corrected. It was not brought up
Oh.
properly. So this is a delayed corrections corner. Brian, you were trying to describe somebody's mullet, and you said it was like
one of the guys at the bar.
yeah, it was like you said it was like 80s action movie Waterworld mullet.
Yeah.
And I want to be clear, Waterworld was from the 90s. So I don't know if that
That's classic Brian arrogance right there.
classic Brian.
Oh, that Brian. He's so arrogant.
1995 too, so it was dead center in that decade.
Yeah, not even late 80s, not even like 91,
wow.
which was still the late 80s.
Yeah. So so there was that. Next thing, we talked a lot about Romulan's language and that whole name thing, Romulan secret names thing.
Yeah.
And Krista, I think you brought up the fact that they actually established in TOS twice that Spock's name is unpronounceable.
Yeah.
But you said that his real name was unpronounceable. It's slightly different. Spock is his real name, but his second name is actually the one that's unpronounceable. So it's unpronounceable something Spock.
Well, I put it in the chat somewhere, actually. I found what it was because I don't know where it went, though.
Okay. And speaking of Romulan secret names, I found an interesting little factoid from the original series that they might have been referencing. Is called the Enterprise Incident, where it was a Romulan episode, and at some point a Romulan whispers her name to Spock, like she was keeping her one of her names a secret from everyone else.
Get some, Spock.
Right. Oh, well, that actually was what the episode was about. It was really weird. Like, did not remember this TOS episode.
Was it the Ponfar episode?
No, it was not the Ponfar. This is a Romulan straight up trying to seduce Spock.
Wow.
Yeah, and so there may have been a little bit of an inkling of all the way back in the 60s, or Romulans have a secret name. So kudos to the series on picking that up. And in memory beta,
it's almost like the entire race is built around the idea of secret keeping.
Yeah, I know
almost as though
you're really working it out. You're really working hard to be space racist. So
I don't have to work hard anymore.
Also, there was a series of books by Diane Duane that actually took that and kind of ran with it. So they might also be referencing an expanded universe thing with the secret names. So moving on from secret names, we talked a lot about Borg babies.
You seemed really disturbed by the Borg babies. Yeah,
I was.
I could not find pictures of the Muppet babies ever having done a Borg thing. I looked.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Borgs do have a thing called a maturation chamber, but it's never really established of, like, do they normally do that, or is that just to, like, age up species that they assimilate? Another thing, we talked a lot about Hugh, of course. I don't want to get too far into that, but I just said, like, Hugh befriended Geordi and Data, should have been those two, or Geordi, that he was really warm with, not Picard. I was wrong. It was Geordi and Beverly.
Yeah, but it was Picard that really like convinced Hugh about the whole individuality thing, because it was in that confrontation in Picard's ready room where Hugh, like, it really clicks for Hugh what's going on.
Well, no, he forced a conflict on Hugh, but Hugh was already, to me, this should be the Geordi show, because Geordi was the one who really befriended Hugh. And it was his friendship with Geordi that made him reject the collective. Because he was like, no, you cannot assimilate Geordi.
It all like compounded on each other, right? It all built on each other. Because there was the friendship with Geordi, right? Yeah. But then there was also the discussion with Picard, where Picard took the devil's advocate position as Locutus and was like, no, individuality is irrelevant. You have to be Borg. And that's what really got Hugh on the line of thinking, no, I want to be an individual.
I think he was already on there, and this was more like of a test for...
Yeah, it all adds to each other.
Yeah, so but that's my point, though. Like, this series would actually make more sense if this was Star Trek Geordi, because he was the one who was really good friends with Data. he was the one that was really good friends with Hugh. Like, you can't really say he was arrogant, but I mean, based on that, I would almost believe that this was originally pitched as Star Trek Geordi, and they're like, no one cares about Geordi. We got to get Picard in here. Patrick Stewart's the one that everyone loves. That's just a theory of mine.
You know what? I'll take your word for it. But
I don't what?
Reading Rainbow?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we don't have to take his word for it. That was the line.
That's the joke.
Yeah, I got it. All right. Next thing. Yes, Borg ships have railings. That discussion did come up.
Hashtag not all Borg ships.
Yes. So in the very first episode, Q Hugh, yes, we do see the scene. Like the crew beamed over and they're kind of doing that big shot of all the Borgs on the ship, and they are very clearly have a railing between them and falling off into certain doom.
Cut to Dustin writing an angry letter. Dear sirs.
Oh, wait. No, the angry letter doesn't come yet, because I was like, well, the first episode, because I watched Q Hugh, and I was like, they were still figuring stuff out. That's where you had the Borg babies. I feel like Best of Both Worlds is where they really kind of like might have retconned some things. So I said, I'm going to rewatch part of Best of Both Worlds and see if they also had railings in that. And while I was doing that, I realized when they are on the view screen and first meet the Borg, and the Borg are doing their infamous, you will be assimilated, your time, your life as you now know is doing that. They had the exact same picture that they had from Q Hugh of the crew, except they just had the crew out. And I know it's the exact same picture because they had the exact same Borg doing the exact same move, like in the bottom corner of the two. They reused the footage. So I was like, okay, well, if they reuse
footage.
It is. So I'm like, well, if you reuse the footage, that's canon. Borg ships have railings. So
hashtag not all Borg cubes.
Okay, whatever.
Maybe the Romulans removed them.
They're
like Europeans. We don't need these.
I still stand by my theory that they assimilated a race with extremely good balance, and thus the railings were inefficient. So they just took them out.
I mean, headcanon, that kind of works.
They scrapped all the railings to build the bar. I thought we covered that.
Yeah, there you go.
See, that's something a Klingon would do, not Romulans.
Kapla.
The last thing I want to point out, so we were talking about, at the very end where they said, oh, we know where the planet is, one with 2 red moons and lots of lightning.
Yes.
So we thought, that is not a lot to go on. Like, how many planets could that possibly describe? And I realized, I was like researching, I was like, well, how many planets have red moons? And based on just a very cursory lookup of astronomy and common sense, we realized this is even worse than I thought, because moons are going to be a different color depending on the atmosphere of the planet that you're on. And
I just realized that too.
Yeah, and depending on the orbit, like, because our moon,
and the image did have a lot of clouds.
Yeah, and our moon looks red at the right point of a lunar eclipse. So at different times on the same planet,
maybe both moons were eclipsing at the same time,
or whatever. My point is, there are a number of reasons a moon could be red, even if you don't have red moons, which continues to expand the number of planets that this could have been. So that's what I was talking about. I was like, wait till Crisis Core, because oh my god, they do not have enough information to go.
That's a good point. Because the other night we were driving home and the moon was bright orange.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
it gets better.
Damn it!
Oh, dear.
All right. My nitpicking is done.
Okay, I actually don't have a lot.
Okay.
I did intend to go and clarify like what the present Romulan factions were, but all I know right now is that it's the Romulan Free State is like the primary faction right now, and they're who are in control of the board of the cube.
Okay.
So that had come up at some point. I did have a couple realizations, but I couldn't think of a room that began with the letter R. So I was trying to go for realization something. Anyway, I had a realization that acceptance of the Romulan supernova as canon, we have to accept that as canon out of in honor of Spock and Leonard Nimoy, because that is how Spock dies, is going into the alternate timeline as a result of the Romulan supernova. right? Because there was a question that was brought up at one point about, do we even need to acknowledge the Kelvin timeline? Yes, we do, because that's how Spock dies.
No, because we could just say Spock died some other way.
No, he went through the time portal.
According to the 2009 movie.
Yeah, but we can't go back and fix it because Leonard Nimoy's dead. So in honor of Leonard Nimoy, we have to accept it as canon.
No, we don't have to. We can fix it with a one line like, Spock, who died happily, surrounded by family, earning the peace that his life deserved.
Nope. He's stranded on an ice planet.
He's died stranded on an ice planet.
No, I think he got off the planet. I don't know.
Watching his planet blow up. Yeah, he did.
My second realization was that the reason Picard had everything in storage was because it was in case his chateau burns down at the start of Generations.
It's happened before, so yeah, got to keep that stuff safe.
When you say it that way of like his alternative place to keep all this stuff, like I could see he didn't trust his brother because they didn't get along very well, or his brother might have threatened to just throw out his stuff if he kept sending it back. So he would. So my mind is now saying, okay, so yeah, he put in storage, and then he inherited the chateau, and then it was like, that's a lot of work to move that stuff. I'll just leave it there.
Along with the Picard Day banner.
That Picard Day banner is unjustifiable.
And maybe he didn't want it. He was like, I'm not going through this shit. And they were like, well, we have to put it somewhere.
Or you know what it is? Classic arrogant Picard. He figured he was such a great man that the museums will want his stuff after he's gone.
It's not a museum, though.
Well, it will be when he's gone. He's probably donating it to whatever the Star Trek equivalent of the Smithsonian is.
The Picard Memorial Library.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what?
That's just eventually going to raise further questions. Anyway, we won't get into that. My last little point here is at one point, Adam was asking about why Data had a beard. There was an episode of Next Generation where Data decides to try to grow a beard. And part of his reasoning is because, Riker has a beard. It looks good on him. So why not?
Riker's so cool.
So there is an episode. There is a legitimate episode where Data tries to grow a beard. And everybody's shocked. Like, I don't remember who's there. I know Geordi's there. He's like, Data, what's wrong with your face?
Was that? I hope that was like the B plot of some Star Trek episode.
I think it was a throwaway gag.
The whole plot was Data grows a beard.
Yeah. But to answer your question, Adam, as to why does Data have a beard, there was an episode where he did experiment with growing a beard.
Huh.
That is good to know. I gotta look up that episode because I do.
There you go. There's a picture.
It is like a Riker beard too.
Not the best picture, but still good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are quite a few pictures actually. I don't remember it. It has been a while since I've seen it, but
that's all I've got.
I actually have one very brief one. We were discussing orchids and how they represent death.
Mm-hmm.
They don't actually. They represent love. However, they do specifically represent everlasting love for the deceased.
Okay.
So that's why they give them at funerals.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're not flowers that signify death. They signify the love for the deceased that is eternal. But it's a bit of a quibble, but
I was mistaken.
That's what we do here.
Nuance difference, but that is a difference. So
I blame the video game Heavy Rain.
That's fair.
But I could see why someone would make that association because we give them at funerals. Yeah.
By the way, Krista, I love that quote that you just posted. When I stroke the beard thusly, do I not appear more intellectual?
The answer is no. No, he does not.
Says you.
I mean, that's why I grow a beard.
I thought it was so you could be like mirror universe you.
Well, I grew the full beard first, and then, so I could do that, and then it didn't feel right to shave it all off at once.
You gotta go with a Fu Manchu, man.
Yeah, so I went with a mirror universe look, and I'm digging it.
Yeah, I dig it. I think it's good.
Thanks.
All right, Act 3, we see Hugh and Elnor as they're making their way back to the Queen cell. Okay. Hugh explains that they need to get there because there's an immense power that's hidden there that he forgot about. Or maybe he was just afraid that he'd be tempted to use it.
But now he's going to use it?
Well, now he's vowing
Okay.
to protect the rest of the XBs by taking the cube away from the Romulans.
Oh, is he gonna jack in to the collective?
Oh, that's not good.
Narissa appears, stepping out of the fog of a hallway. I don't know. There's fog, and she steps out of it.
Yeah.
Was there a tumbleweed too?
No.
No, I'm getting more of like an Alien vibe, where just
Yeah.
like random steam things are just in the hallways, and
Mhm.
And she steps out and she says, "That sounds like a treaty violation to me. Also, open insurrection, which means I'm authorized to kill you now."
She just happened to be standing there right at the moment he said that?
Well, she also has a line that I didn't write down saying, "Did you really think you weren't being watched?"
Okay, so she was waiting.
Touche, yeah.
You know what's funny is like I would believe that, yeah, she was waiting for him to do or say something to let her kill him. But
Yeah.
the fact that she was like right there as he said it.
Well,
plot
you know, Romulans.
you know,
Sure.
plot has to happen on
Elnor.
TV.
Elnor steps forward, drawing his sword, and in Romulan says, "Please, friends, choose to live."
Nice.
Narissa says in Romulan, in a very seductive manner of speaking, by the way, she's putting on her full seductive voice. She says, "I'll admit, I wasn't expecting this." And she draws her disruptor and fires, but Elnor grabs Hugh and pulls him behind some cover. Narissa walks forward, going around the little corner, and she finds Hugh sitting there, but a sudden sound distracts her, and she fires at it as we see Elnor kind of running away. And by the time she looks back, Hugh is gone. We see Elnor quickly and very efficiently taking out all the other Romulan guards, pausing only after the last one to face off with Narissa. Narissa says in Romulan, "This is not how Jat Vash fights Kawat Milat." And she seductively holsters her disruptor. Elnor sheathes his blood-covered sword, which is always a pet peeve of mine, by the way. Clean your sword before you put it back in the sheath.
Right, yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yes.
That's how you will ruin a sheath
This
and
has been
also
a public
potentially
service
the sword.
Yeah.
The more
Come
you
on.
know.
But no, Elnor puts his sword back in the sheath and they face off as Hugh peers around a corner to watch. They exchange various punches and blocks, and it's kind of cool. I guess they could have done more with it. But Elnor eventually roundhouse kicks Narissa right in the face, and she falls to her knees. And very quickly, she draws a small blade, pointing it directly at Elnor, causing him to pause just momentarily as her other hand throws a blade directly into Hugh's jugular vein.
Oh.
He drops to the floor.
Nailed it.
Elnor rushes over to him. Narissa takes aim with her disruptor. Elnor takes the blade from Hugh's neck and throws it at Narissa, but she instaports away as the blade passes right through her.
This is
Of course
like,
it does.
this is like some bad like DMing to me. It's like, yeah, it would have hit him and killed him, but nope, the villain doesn't get killed in this scene, so gone.
So, yeah, or okay. Is now a good time to back up a few seconds?
Yeah.
Could be.
Okay. So yeah, my problem with that fight at the end was if she had time to activate the instant porter to avoid the knife, why didn't she just shoot the gun? Like she had plenty of time to shoot him before he could do the blade thingy. Anyways,
I don't understand.
like why did she instaport away to avoid the knife?
So that she wouldn't get stabbed.
Right, so if she had time to activate whatever instaporter there is to avoid the knife, are you seriously telling me she didn't have enough time to pull the trigger on her gun and shoot him before he threw the knife?
Maybe instaporting is faster than disruptor fire.
Okay.
My assumption, Dustin, had been that they considering they're in the middle of fighting,
Yeah.
that they're not actually the ones running the instaporting.
Okay.
That,
Okay.
there's a guy, a technician somewhere going, "Oh, got it." Or,
he kind of like lost focus for a second. He's like, "Oh shit!"
He was
I
already playing a while
I
ago.
thought we had this battle won. Nope.
Mhm. And my problem with the beginning of the fight is the super secret Zhat Vash just openly admitted she's a Zhat Vash to a Quat Moat.
Yeah, why not?
I'll tell you why not, because he literally can't keep that secret, and she just admitted that the secret organization exists. Like,
Well, that's not really a secret.
yes,
Maybe it's not a
actually it
secret to
is.
Romulans.
I mean, how many other people know about the Zhat Vash by now? We do.
All of them.
Not many people, probably.
Picard does.
I don't, but it's
Yeah.
His
so,
Romulan caretakers do.
it is so super secret that I thought his Romulan caretakers weren't even sure it actually existed. Like, they argued about its existence.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So she just confirmed the existence of this super secret organization, which is part of why it's so powerful. Is that
Well, maybe she thought that she was going to succeed in killing him, so that revealing the secret wouldn't have been really a problem.
To me, that is a terrible discipline for an organization trying to be secret. Well, I'm going to win this fight anyway, so I'll just reveal the secret.
Well, this is also the same Zhat Vash operative who sent a team of Romulan ninjas out in the open to destroy Daj.
yes. So my point is, Zhat Vash is freaking stupid. And if this is any indication of what they are, they could not possibly have been secret for 4,000 years.
But dozens of operatives, Dustin. Dozens. There are dozens of them.
Let's move on.
Mhm.
Okay. So Hugh, with his last few breaths, tells Elnor that he needs an XB to activate the Queen Cell. And then he looks at Elnor and says, how's this for a lost cause? He says, I was that much of a hopeful fool again for a minute. Thanks for that.
Wait, what? When
And
was-
in Elnor's arms, with blood softly gurgling from his neck, Hugh dies.
when was Hugh? I don't understand what he's referencing.
What, the lost cause?
Yeah, no, the before that, like
Or
He
having
was-
hope for a moment?
having hope for a moment, like
I
again.
don't know.
He's just
Ah,
been a miserable sod this whole time.
yeah, but like, oh man,
I don't know. Yeah. It's
To me, this reeks of poor writing. Somebody doesn't know how to write a death scene.
well,
yeah. They wanted it to be deeply impactful and meaningful and philosophical, and it's just not.
Well, I will say this could have been a deeply meaningful death scene, but it
A
wasn't.
lot of things in this show could have been.
It
done.
wasn't properly set up. Like, this is a payoff without a setup.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So, anyways,
Cut to La Sirena. We see Raffi as she replicates a slice of cake for Agnes.
is
She
Raffi,
also,
is Raffi sober? I forgot to mention that part.
I don't know, but she is smoking from her snake leaf
Okay, then.
in this scene.
All right.
So she replicates a slice of cake for Agnes. She also offers her some milk, chocolate, she asks. Agnes says, that's probably overdoing it. And Raffi says, there's no such thing on planet Raffi.
This is so weird.
Agnes thanks Raffi for being so kind, saying, you're a good person.
See, to me, that takes on a whole connotation when you're talking to someone who is an addict. There's no such thing as too much on planet addict.
So Agnes says, you're a good person. Raffi says, nah, I'm more like the wreckage of a good person. Maybe in an emergency, you can piece together a good person temporarily, but that's about it.
that seems accurate. Basically.
Agnes begins breaking into tears. And Raffi's like, oh, shoot, I'm sorry. And she remembers Maddox and tries to console Agnes about Maddox, but is interrupted by Rios pacing back and forth above, right? Because remember, there's that open space in the ship.
Right. Okay.
She's like, what's wrong? She asks angrily to Rios. Rios says their little shadow is back and it's got an identical warp signature. So he knows it's the same person. He begins saying that he's going to try something different when suddenly Agnes begins throwing up and it's red. And Rios is like, is that blood? Raffi says, red velvet. Rios shakes his head and walks away. Raffi tries calling out. She's like, hey, hello, we have a hospitality emergency here, but there's no hologram that shows up as Raffi is trying not to throw up herself.
Mm-hmm.
Cut back to Nepenthe. We're at the dinner table now.
That's
Riker is serving pizza.
the holograms were deactivated. Interesting.
Yeah, there was a moment when Agnes deactivated the EMH when
Well, the
Maddox was
EMH,
dying.
but it sounds like all the ones because hospitality.
Yeah, I forgot about these guys.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a
So
good point.
interesting. Okay.
All right, so Riker is serving pizza. The slice he gives to Kestra has extra bunny corn sausage.
Wait, he's eating the unicorn bunny?
Yeah.
Oh,
That was the whole point.
Yeah, that was dinner.
That
Have you never
makes-
had rabbit?
That makes it less
No,
cute.
Shahasan Fefe.
Yeah, that to me that makes it less cute. It's like, unicorn bunny, so cute. Let's eat it.
That makes it more cute to me.
We see Picard, like he's tapping his comm badge. He has not heard from Rios yet. And so he mentions to the others, like, I haven't heard from Rios yet. I may need to find another ship sometime soon if something happened to it.
Didn't they say it was supposed to be a several-day trip at maximum warp?
Rios
Yeah.
said that, but Picard didn't. Picard has no idea if they're even on their way, if they got away from the Borg cube.
True.
I
Or
also
how far
like,
away they are.
I also like that his worry is so self-centered. Like, oh, something might have happened to him. I'm gonna need a new crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that
Classic.
arrogance again.
Classic
Picard
Picard arrogance.
That's not arrogance. That's just narcissism. Like, well, gonna need another crew.
To shreds, you say. Riker suggests Riker suggests maybe you can find one at Infinity Lake Spaceport if you're willing to wait. And Troy mentions, well, there's weekly passenger service, but independent operators are rare. Kestra speaks up saying, Captain Crandall has a ship. It's called the Inside Strait. Troy and Riker give each other looks. They don't trust Rupert Crandall.
Obviously,
It's very much, I get it very much of
after a poker hand. This is probably that kind of guy.
no, I very much get the Uncle Owen and Aunt Veru vibe of like, oh, don't go see that Ben Kenobi. He's no good. That's the vibe I get from the scene.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, just to be clear, because of the type of series this is it a, oh, don't go see him because he's bad news, or don't go see him and leave your kids alone with him?
Well, all we know apparently is that Rupert Crandall is this guy that Kestra knows.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And there's also another line about how he's been like all over the galaxy from Kronos to some other place that I don't remember.
Made the
And,
Kessel
Riker's
run,
like, or so he says.
Mm.
Right. So Troy and Riker don't trust this Rupert Crandall that Kestra keeps talking about. So Riker speaks up. He asks where Picard plans to go. And Soji answers, home. She then explains to them what happened with Narek. She tells them the whole story, right?
Okay.
About how he was looking for information. She goes into more detail than that. But she mentions he was just looking for information. And Kestra says, did he get it? And Soji is like, oh, I'm so stupid. Yes, he did get the information. And Picard says, and what was it? There's a pause because Soji still doesn't trust him. She kind of looks at him, looks around the table. She doesn't answer. And Picard looks at her and explains that Daj also went through something similar to what Soji did, like not knowing what's going on. He explains that, by the time Daj came to him, she had already been activated and was looking for answers and stuff like that. And so he goes on, he says to Soji, he says, listen to the timbre of my voice, feel the fluctuations of my heart rate, note the dilation of my pupils. You can trust me. But Soji still doesn't know if she can believe him.
Okay, good. I'm kind of liking her.
Picard says that he wants to help her get back to that home. But why? She asks. He says, because, basically, I'm summarizing here. Because you were created from Data, our friend. But also, before Daj came to Picard, he was haunted by his past, marking time, wasting his life. But now he's alive and he has a mission, which means that no one can stop him.
Okay, well, yeah, there's some arrogance.
Soji takes this in for a moment. Apparently it works because she then explains that in this vision, in this dream that Narek kind of walked her through, she explains that she saw 2 red moons and a sky full of lightning. And then basically that Narek tried to kill her.
Okay.
Riker speculates. He begins speculating in this conversation. Well, maybe Bruce Maddox went to this place with the 2 red moons. Maybe he went there after the ban to continue his work. Kestra smiles and looks at Soji and says, "You have a homeworld." Soji smiles back and says, "I have a homeworld. My Ardani." We get a brief moment of a sad look from Troy because Ardani was Thad's thing. And Troy's sad about Thad.
Okay. Nice subtle camera work, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Soji tells Picard that she wants to go there to this home.
Okay.
Yeah. So sorry, hang on. Finding my notes.
No, that's right. It's just this kind of a whole conversation. Finally. I feel like it could have happened a little bit sooner, but okay.
Yeah, I feel like this should have happened much sooner.
She tells Picard that she wants to go to this planet. And Picard says, yes, but first we need to identify it. We get a quick shot of Kestra texting under the table. Riker says that the Romulans have a head start and Picard may want to contact Starfleet for some help. Picard says, maybe. First, we need to find out where the hell we're going. And Kestra speaks up. It's in the Fate sector. The Julian system. It doesn't have a name, only a number. They all look at her.
She Googled
This guy.
it. Oh my God.
No, she sent to this uncle dude that no one trusts, and he knew.
Yeah, Kestra holds up her device and says, I asked Captain Crandall.
Yeah, Captain Crandall.
Riker smiles. He's amused. Oh, you.
She texted him.
Yeah. Cut to black. That's the end of Act 3.
Another short Act 3. You're right.
Yeah.
Act 3 is always short.
Act 4.
Okay, so does anyone else just think that is ridiculously contrived?
Yep.
Yes. Like everything in this episode is ridiculously contrived.
Yeah. For episode 7 of 10 episodes, I would think we were past the contrived coincidences phase.
I feel like they're just going to come faster. Which is terrible.
That is terrible. I memean, that is bad writing.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least the orchids are going to pay off.
What do you mean?
What?
Oh, God.
The orchids that are going to pay off? What?
What?
Okay.
Act 4. We see Rios walking Agnes into the sickbay. She insists that she's fine, and she just had too much cake. She says the first one was as big as a Borg cube, and then she had a second one, and it was the third one that really kind of, caused a problem. They sit down.
Nice metaphor. I like that.
Rios says, well, I actually brought you here to talk to you about something. And it turns out Rios is nervous. He explains to Agnes that if that shadow keeps finding them, he thinks he might know why. Agnes looks at him, says nothing. Rios says, what if Raffi's being tracked? She was acting mysterious before they got to Free Cloud, right? The whole goodbye forever routine. And then suddenly she comes right back with no explanation. Who did she talk to? Who did she go see? Mm-hmm. Agnes says, no. Rio says, I know. I hate to think Raffi would betray us like that, to put us in danger. Maybe the Romulans put a tracker on her without her knowing. Agnes says, it's not Raffi. Rio says, so what? It's you? And he chuckles. And he mentions, you've been stuck on La Sirena since Earth. And then suddenly Raffi calls for Rios, mentioning, the shadow is back. Rios gives Agnes a serious look and gets up to leave. And for a good, solid moment, Agnes sits there, contemplating, her heart pounding. She's struggling to hold back her tears. After a bit, she walks over to the medical replicator and pushes some buttons as a hypospray appears. We hear the computer voice says, neuranium hydride synthesized. Warning, depending on species, there may be neurotoxic effects.
And it's just going to let you freely replicate that.
Agnes picks up.
It is the medical bay. I could understand like the replicator in the medical bay might have, might do some crazier things like that. I could believe
this is also Rios's ship. So maybe he turned off some safeguards.
Yeah, Rios don't need safeguards.
He's too cool.
Agnes picks up the hypospray. After a pause, she takes several deep, calming breaths, and she whispers to herself, "You can do this." She puts it up to her neck, There's another pause as she readies herself, pushes the button, and we hear the hypo spray go off. And immediately she begins tensing up and starts gasping for air. She stumbles, knocking over some things off the counter, falling into a table and a chair, and she falls to the floor, convulsing and foaming at the mouth. And then we see from her point of view, the EMH shows up. We hear him say, "What is the nature of your, oh, bloody hell," as he rushes over to her as her vision fades.
You know, you can still track a corpse.
The beacon on Narek's display goes out.
Oh, hang on. So let's unpack this for a bit. I'm trying to figure out. I'm really trying to figure out this character because it seemed like she would manage to steel herself and, you know, do what is necessary to the point she was willing to kill her ex-husband, who apparently she still had affectionate feelings for. But the guilt of leading Romulans to two people she had just met, that was too much for her.
Well, it compounds.
It could be, yeah. It could be. It's multiple things, not just one thing.
I just wish we saw more of her psychological break.
Yeah.
That's that cake, man. Once you can't even keep cake down, what's the point of living?
Right?
Oh, speaking of cake, I found a fantastic one. It's got all the little ships flying around it.
She posts a picture of the Borg cube at Wolf, what is it?
359.
359.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, man. Nice.
It's really good. I was not disappointed when I Googled Borg cake.
Yeah. So with that, I guess I don't know. It's kind of like going back and forth. I mean, something like this, a psychological break, I guess I do need my hand held through why the person is going through something. Like, I can guess at what's eating at her, but the moments that things are choosing to happen to her, I'm just not believing for whatever reason.
Yeah, we don't know her enough. She's been all over the place, character-wise.
I feel like there's a lot more visual character building with her, because she has amazing facial expressions. This actress does an amazing job at expressing emotion. Like, just watching her, we know how she feels.
Okay.
Like, I can't really describe it in a good way, but there is that dimension to it.
Yeah, so it's not an act. I mean, that's what we kept hoping for. The whole thing was like, it is obviously not an act.
I've been hoping for all of the female characters it was just an act, and it's not.
Yeah, for her and then and something too. Neither one of them, not even close.
No.
And then so she's been wearing her emotions on her sleeve, and it's just I actually, if I take out the fact that she murdered Maddox, and was just feeling guilty about, being tracked, this actually all makes sense to me. I think I would actually have less problems with it. But it's the fact that she was so determined and so in the, oh my goodness, this has to happen, to the point she was ready to, murder someone in cold blood.
That was the point. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes this, to me, it makes this point of the psychological break of, I need a little more explanation of what is pushing her over the head, pushing her over the edge. Because just being tracked, I mean, it seems like a really small straw to break the camel's back.
I get the impression that she's just way in over her head, and it's finally getting to her.
I get that too, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
she murdered a guy.
Yeah, she murdered.
Not just any guy.
That's got to weigh on you.
But then she immediately jumped into bed with someone. I mean, maybe it was just to make herself feel better.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
I don't know. Rios was pretty cool. I don't know how desperate that was.
I mean, wouldn't you?
Well, no.
Jump in bed with Captain Rios?
No, I would not. But
are you sure?
Yeah.
I mean,
you're not there. You're not there in that moment.
He is. Justin,
you don't know.
He is pretty cool.
Well, I will say this. I guarantee you I would not jump into bed with Captain Rios right after murdering my ex-husband. That is an impossible scenario.
You say that now.
Well, and I thought more time had passed. I just assumed based on dialogue more time had passed, and then it said 3 weeks ago
Yeah.
she was back on Earth, and I was
It's
like,
been
what?
3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's not enough time for me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think we've diagnosed this. Maybe Brian's right. Maybe when we watch it, it'll make more sense.
She'll make more sense.
Yeah.
Don't hold your breath, though.
Well, I mean, you said the visual acting might help us sell it. Or
Like her facial expressions really sell that she's struggling and she's in pain and constantly like on the verge of tears, and she's a great actress.
yeah, I'm sure I'm sold on how she's feeling. Like that's not the problem. The problem is why she's feeling that.
Yeah.
And why and when.
Huh.
So,
Anyway, so she disappears from Narek's display.
okay.
Right, he's pissed that he lost her.
Which doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
It's because of the neuranium hydride.
Yeah,
Apparently
so
cancels out whatever was in that glowing blue tablet.
So she knew what it was she was given and how to counteract it.
She's smart. That's how smart works,
I mean,
right?
No, she doesn't even know how to work a freaking transporter. We've established this. She knows nothing about the world outside of AI. She does not know chemistry, apparently, either.
And like, what
Apparently
was in the
she
blue
does.
pill? Like,
Well,
were they like nanites? Like, what? None of this makes any sense.
Oh.
Anyway, we cut to Rios. He's now back on the bridge. Raffi is at the piling console or whatever console it is. She's looking at displays. He sits down in his chair, contemplating her, stroking his beard. He says, Raffi, I have one more thought about finding this guy, but I don't think you're going to like it very much. Raffi says, why? Does it involve shooting me out of an airlock? Rios leans forward and says, I really hope not. She turns and looks at him. But just then, the EMH calls for Rios to sickbay. Rios is like, is Agnes still having stomach trouble? And the EMH says, well, at the moment, I'm more concerned with the fact that she's in a coma. So Rios rushes out of his seat, slides down the stairs, like slides down the banister with his hands.
Of course he does.
Rushes across the food bay or whatever it is and into sickbay.
Okay, I'm sorry. We got back up a second. It's not the Rios thing. The Rios conversation with Raffi, that was so weird. I was kind of stunned for a second. I couldn't say anything. like, was that supposed to be like playful banter, or was
it seems like Rios is
he did to her at one point?
What?
Like, was it playful banter? Or was it him? Was she referencing something that he actually did to her at some point? Or was he actually going to suggest that and somehow she knew?
That's the impression I get.
Okay, so then this is a maneuver that they both know about, I would have to assume.
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
What we get the impression that Rios is suspicious of Raffi, and Raffi is none the wiser.
Okay.
Okay,
gotcha.
Because why would she be? Because she's innocent.
It's
right.
Yeah, Dustin. It's again, it's just bad writing in that they wanted to give Rios the ability to say his line. I hope it doesn't come to that, and so they back wrote from that line.
Gotcha.
They wanted that to be the slightly humorous, slightly tense blow line. That's my read on it.
It's dramatic irony.
Poorly written dramatic.
Yeah, like rain on a wedding day. Yeah.
No, that's not right.
Well, that's my point.
Okay.
That's the whole point of the song, Dustin, is that none of those situations are ironic, which makes the whole song ironic.
Really? That was all on purpose?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, let's save that for
We'll save that for
another episode or a corrections corner.
Like, I'm inclined to say no, but Brian's a college music professor.
Right? Like, that's not something I want to argue with Brian.
I don't want to argue music with Brian.
Like, there's no other way that a song called Ironic could be so full of not ironic situations.
Unless
other than the fact that the title is ironic.
Or the person who wrote it is stupid.
No, it's Alanis Morissette. She's not stupid.
Or maybe she's a smart person writing for stupid people.
Yeah.
Could be.
Cut to Elnor.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's sneaking around on the artifact, avoiding detection. He finds a
Adam, this is your
temporary.
favorite thing. We have a Romulan ninja loose on a space.
No, he's
full of
not.
Romulans.
He's a Romulan samurai.
I'm sorry.
Yes, there's a distinction.
He
How
finds a
dare you.
temporarily safe spot for the moment, and he gathers his thoughts while various alarms are blaring. He notices nearby, dangling from a nearby console, he sees a certain chip hanging there that we've seen before. He crawls over to it, reaches out, and presses his thumb against the face of the chip. And on the chip, we see the words light up, Fenris, SOS initiated. He takes the chip in his hands and waits.
Where was the chip?
It's just kind of hanging there on a nearby console that he happened to be there by.
Yeah, that again. Oh my, Krista, you're right. This is terrible.
It's so bad.
Oh my God, the contrivance is going faster.
Fenris, that can only mean one thing, Dustin.
Yes, we know. An ancient god that looks like a wolf, right? That's what it is.
Yes. Cut back to Nepenthe. We have Picard and Riker walking through the woods. I pieced together later on that it is now like in the morning time. Picard is explaining to Riker that late last night, Rios finally came into comm range, and he was worried about them. Riker decides to ask, what is this new crew like? This new crew of yours, what is it like? Picard says they are decidedly motley.
Oh, good Lord.
There's been nothing but drama since they left Earth orbit. They seem to be carrying more baggage than all of you ever did, referring to Riker and the Enterprise crew. But then again, Picard says,
I love the fact that Picard is just shitting all over these people that risked their lives for him.
But then again, Picard says, I'm not one to talk.
Except he obviously is.
Very judgy.
Classic Picard arrogance.
Classic.
Oh man,
We need to make that into a meme.
yeah, I was gonna say get some memes and t-shirts going.
Yep.
They go out onto this dock out into a small lake, and they sit on a bench which has a small kind of roof shelter over it. Picard asks Riker if he ever thought about shipping out again. Riker explains, well, I am still technically on active reserve, but it would have to be a very good reason.
Does he say it like that, or?
Well, I put a little bit more emphasis on there for future reasons.
Okay.
The conversation continues. Riker eventually explains that nobody would blame Picard if he just stayed home and let other people take care of the galaxy for a while. Nobody except for him, that is, except for Riker. He says with a smile. He then goes on. He says,
"What is he saying? Like,
well, he's talking about how Picard is always going out to save the galaxy, and nobody would blame him if just this once he decided to stay home and let somebody else save the galaxy.
But no one else is going to, like, because Starfleet isn't going to help him. Has Picard explained that to this guy?
I don't know.
Okay.
But Riker says that he says nobody will blame you if you just stay home and let others take care of the galaxy, especially given your condition.
Because you're old.
Everybody knows about the condition now?
I guess. Well, Riker knows about it.
He's number one.
He was part of the last episode of TNG.
And
he also mentions that, I always said that I never thought you had any business retiring in the first place, he says to Picard. And Picard's like, and you were right. They sit together, taking in the beautiful scenery. Picard eventually thanks Riker for not trying to talk him out of it. Riker says, believe me, I know better. That, my friend, is always a losing proposition. And they share a chuckle. And we see beautiful views of the lake and the mountains in the distance with the stone arches looming over top.
I feel like we now need a montage of all those times Riker had a conversation with Picard and actually got him to, and Picard took his recommendation or changed his mind.
Yeah, I feel like
series.
Yeah, they had that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
So Picard saying, "Thank you for not trying to talk me out of it," makes sense. What Riker responding doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah. These, I mean, these. I feel like I feel like this is like what was it when you take words or stuff from a magazine and put them all out like a collage? I feel like there's a collage.
Ransom note.
Yeah.
I thought ransom note too.
Exactly what I thought.
We're bad people.
I meant a collage. I feel like there's a collage of multiple good stories that they've just ripped out and copied and pasted and thrown them in here. Because that's how I feel like all these lines are. Like, these are great lines from another story.
Yeah, all I can think of is in All Good Things, Picard does get very stubborn because he's trying to explain to everybody else what's going on, the jumping through time and stuff. That's the only time I can think of where they would have this relationship.
Yeah, but even then,
Yeah,
that was
I would
only,
imagine Riker still
was-
knows about his condition.
No, but that was when he was old. The other two times,
But they talk about it in the present day too.
When he starts ordering people around. I'm not talking about the Aramaic syndrome. I'm talking about the type of relationship where Picard was stubborn. He was only stubborn in that older timeline.
I mean, all I can
Picard's-
assume is Picard has changed, and we just haven't been there to see that change. So we just kind of have to take everybody's word for it, which is weird.
Like,
Yeah.
Okay, which would be interesting. Oh, maybe. Actually, I'm going to.
You're trying too hard, Dustin.
Yeah.
I'm trying too hard because I was about to say, maybe this is the story of Picard had become an arrogant, stubborn person that we need to see at the beginning of the series.
Already here.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, like, he started the series as arrogant Picard, arrogant, stubborn Picard, and has to turn back into the old Jean-Luc that we know. But all these people are describing him as always being like that.
Yeah, exactly. It would be a real simple fix for them to be like, I remember Jean-Luc back when we were on the Enterprise together, and he didn't have this hubris that you now have, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's a simple fix, and obviously not. This is just sort of, they've decided sort of carte blanche that at the beginning that Picard is arrogant, full of hubris, and everyone knows it now.
So, Dustin, are you saying that you're interested in Picard's character development?
Well, I was trying to say that
because it gets better.
Oh no!
I'm gonna turn that into a drinking game. Every time you say that, I'm gonna take a shot.
I mean, I already am. So,
and with that, I finished my last glass.
Oh my goodness!
Cut to Kestra. She's in her bedroom drawing a picture of Soji as Soji is sleeping in the bed. It's a bunk bed, by the way. Soji's on the lower bed. She wakes up from the nap, turns over and sees Kestra and says, good morning. Kestra looks at her and says, I'm going to miss you. Soji says, I'm going to miss you too. Kestra goes on. She says, I don't totally get it, but I know something really bad happened to you. Something really bad happened to me too. And what helped me through it was my mom and my dad. You don't have a mom and a dad, but you have Captain Picard. Soji says, I don't have Picard. Kestra says, but you could if you wanted to. And he could have you. And you could both have each other. Soji says, I'll think about it. And turns to lie her back.
That is a weird conversation to have with a child.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to that because that feels like cringeworthy dialogue. Like, hey, let's put the theme into the words of a 13-year-old child.
Cut to Picard, Riker, and Troy outside the house having a big group hug and kiss.
Yep, Jean-Luc Picard, well known for his hugging. I'm not a huge watcher of of all the episodes, but yeah, lots of hugs. Seems like a hugger.
Big huggy guy. Yep.
Yeah. Touch and feely.
And kissy too.
I mean, he's French, so yeah, a kiss on the cheeks.
Yeah.
Change.
Picard walks over and joins Soji as Kestra rushes out of the house. Wait. And she rushes over to Soji and puts the compass into Soji's hands.
The broken one.
She puts the compass in her hands and says, you'll just have to pretend it works. She gives Soji a big hug, and after a moment, Soji hugs her back. Kestra rejoins her parents as Picard calls to Rios to beam up. and they beam away, leaving the Rikers behind to look on as the music swells. We get the intro to the TNG theme. Ba, 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 and then they turn and walk into the house as the camera pans up, and we see yet again a grand view of forests and distant mountains with the great looming rock arches. Cut to credits.
Really?
Huh.
Next time on Star Trek Picard.
Wait. Before we get to that,
That's good. I didn't write any of it down.
Next time, there will be stuff. Word. People will verb.
Picard will be more arrogant.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
that's
arrogant.
guaranteed.
It will get better.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, I don't buy the fact that Will and Troy would just send him on his merry way without one of them going with him, one of them saying,
Why
"We'll
would
pick
they?
you back up?"
I would believe it if they had talked more about it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because like, which one would they send, and which one would they say, no, you have to stay here with our child?
Yeah, like I would like to see it because I could see Riker being all about like, yeah, let's go.
I mean, Kestra seems
and having a
sensible. Why not send
conversation.
her?
Truly.
You know, the way this series goes, I could
Exactly,
totally picture
yes.
Picard manipulating him. Like, I could really use someone like Kestra on my crew.
I use a 12-year-old
Yep.
archer. It's the one thing that the one thing the crew is missing.
I lost my samurai, so
Yeah, like I was expecting a scene between just Troy and Riker discussing this situation
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I
and
could see
discussing Picard. Like, do you think he's okay?
that.
You
I
know?
think he's lost his mind.
Yeah.
yeah, like one or the other. Like either A, he's lost his mind, or B, he is on doing something very important that maybe you as a person want to help. Like I don't.
Yeah, like they felt shoehorned in there.
They picture me. You know what they remind me of? They remind me of like in a Western, like, oh, they're just the local village people who are down to earth village people, as the hero kind of goes in and temporarily stays in there, reminds him of what he's fighting for, and moves on.
The eyes of Ganon are everywhere.
Yeah, but they're not that type. They are also the heroes. Like, so that's why I don't buy it.
They're the heroes
Yeah.
of the prequel sequel or the prequel series.
I'm just that type. So anyway.
Yeah. And I guess we're supposed to assume that the death of their son affected them. Obviously it did. But it's not really shown how, other than Troy's kind of sad.
Well, she did hesitate before walking into the room.
That's how I knew he was dead.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's
I
how
was
I
like-
knew it too.
Yeah. I'm like, well, like you said.
I mean, Riker burnt that tomato, so obviously that is a clear sign of trauma. And
Yeah, it's a metaphor.
Yeah, it's a metaphor
Yeah.
for rain on a wedding day or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted more from them.
Yeah, like, and there was a bunch of stuff that never came back up. Like, I kept expecting he said that he was having trouble with the so and so.
Yeah,
I don't know.
what was that about?
The Kazidi or whatever it was.
Yeah, like, and I expected that to come back up, but it didn't. And then,
Well, like I said, I think he was just saying that so he didn't appear to like a paranoid person. I think.
Because
Will-
otherwise he sounded really freaking paranoid.
I mean,
yeah, like
out-
I mean, if I go to somebody's house and be in middle of a woods and he's got a panic room, I'm like, dude, either this person's really paranoid or I'm about to be murdered.
Yeah, and they don't seem like the kind of people that would stay on a planet where they're having trouble with the natives.
yeah.
And we do get the
Well-
impression that this is a more popular, like there are other settlements on this planet, because at one point Riker does mention like orbital control and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And we never met the other captain. Like, that guy, I expected that guy to come up and Han Solo him off the planet.
what,
or-
Captain Crandall?
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, he's totally off screen and he just gets a text and like that's it.
Yeah, and he knows exactly where
Oh
the
my
planet with
God.
2 red moons and a lot of lightning is.
Yeah,
I mean-
that's
Oh
way
my
too
God.
convenient.
Oh my god.
Picard didn't have to go on a quest for that info or anything.
Nope. Just text
Nope.
it.
Yep.
I really had hoped
That's
that
really
she just
lazy, right?
Googled it. That whatever her name was, Kendra, just Googled
Kestra.
it. You're like, Kestra.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
like Googled 2 red moons and lightning. It's like, oh, it might be this planet.
Yeah,
It's
is it
like-
this one? Points at screen.
It's like Kess from Voyager, but with Tra at the end.
Okay.
Yeah. This was also sick.
I
Oh,
miss
Kat-
Cass. I liked her.
Unfortunately, she is dead at this point.
I liked her before she came back and they didn't know how to write the character.
Wait, what? She comes back?
Oh, sorry.
I'm only on season 5, dude.
That's your own fault. What,
know.
the series is like 70 years old by now.
Yeah, I know. But you know I'm rewatching it.
No, Cass comes back and she completely like betrays her character.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, there was an episode. Was there an episode?
She's like all angry that they abandoned her when really they didn't, and she like left them by choice and pushed them several hundred light years closer to home.
Well, they had to do something to solve the fact that they were in Borg space. They didn't want to do that for another season, I guess.
Oh, my dear sweet summer child. Finish the series.
I'm finishing. You know what's funny with the series? Like, I do feel like I was watching. It's like, man, this is a really good series. Like, I did not appreciate how good it was. And
It has good moments.
Yeah, and then I got to season 5, and I started to feel like it was dragging a little bit. I'm like, I thought this got better with 7 of 9. People kept telling me, but I guess season 4 was good with 7 of 9. So I'm hoping I get past season 5 and 6.
The character of 7 of 9 is excellent. Like the character arc and most of the stories dealing with her are great, but that doesn't really have a lot of bearing on how good the rest of the show is sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the other characters, their lines get lost.
Yeah. I was also, okay, I mean, we should probably take us out before I get into talking Voyager, but Chakotay and the actor who always complained he didn't have anything to do with Chakotay. After watching it, I'm like, dude, if your character... They gave him some really good episodes the first 3, maybe 3.5 seasons.
Yeah, I thought they did.
Yeah,
then they gave him some really bad episodes.
No, but I'm just like, he had some really good ones. Like, he had episodes about him. Like, if his character was going to show any charisma and catch on with the fandom, like, he had his opportunities for 4 seasons. And it just became obvious people did not dig his character. I'm not saying it was the actor's fault. It could just as well have been the writer.
Have you gotten to the episode with the Sky People yet?
The Sky People? I'm assuming, I think.
You know, the people that his ancient native people worshipped as gods, but really they're aliens from a planet in the Delta Quadrant.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I saw him. He was on another planet where they were also worshiping them.
Have you gotten to the episode with the dinosaurs that escaped Earth and became sentient?
Oh, I cannot wait for that. I never saw it, and people talk about it. I'm like,
that's an actual episode.
I know that is so Star Trek. I can't.
Yeah, that's so original series. Like,
Oh,
that's
Like they started out, Adam.
Yeah.
They started out as dinosaurs on Earth,
Yes,
and were like abducted by aliens, and
As
then
they do.
became sentient, and now populate some planet in the Delta Quadrant.
I just hope they have like top hats and things. That's all I want.
This series already had him meet Amelia Earhart, so I'm like, all bets are off. They're freaking going for it, man.
Didn't the original series do Amelia Earhart?
I
Or was
They
that
did
just
a bunch
Voyager?
of historical figures. I mean, obviously,
Oh,
like
I'm evil Abe Lincoln.
right. With a mustache and no chin. That's how you know.
Oh man. So yeah, I hope it gets better with 6 and 7, because I feel like things are dragging with that season 5.
Don't hold your breath.
Don't hold my breath. Okay.
All I'm saying is yes, the orchids do have a payoff. That's all I'll say.
No, I was talking about Voyager.
Okay.
But yeah, this series too. I did feel like this was on a. I thought this had bottomed out with episode 4.
Nope.
And we were on an upward trajectory, but I feel like we just found another bottom. And
Well, it was like all of our sort of upward hill projections were based on like, oh, well, if this person's actually fake, if Agnes is actually competent, she's just been playing them this whole time. And if such and such is just doing this other thing. And then in this episode, I was like, nope.
yeah,
none of
you're
that's
right.
happening.
All of the
Agnes
things
is
that are
back.
all of our hopes have been dashed. That
Yeah, if ever you think that this series has bottomed out, Dustin, remember we have 3 episodes to go.
Mhm. I do feel slightly vindicated that Agnes was a plant from Commodore O.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
But still not
figured that
great.
out.
Like I feel like again she just went along with that. They wanted to establish it and they didn't want to waste too much time on it. But I would have liked to see more doubt and question and more
I-
evidence.
Yeah.
They didn't establish it properly.
Yeah.
Like, it's obvious that it's been there the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't execute it properly. The
You know-
timing is way off.
You know what would have been really cool? We didn't see her kill Maddox. And then all of a sudden there's just a mystery of he died.
Who
and
shot
then
JR?
Well, not only like, and then they find out like the EMH is saying, well, no, I didn't declare him dead. And there's this mystery or something. And then we're being tracked. And there really was a mystery.
Yeah, like
for-
where the audience is in suspense over
Yeah, the
who is-
audience. Yeah, the
Yeah.
audience is also like they're all suspecting each other and don't see it. And then we could have done the red herring of, well, it's Raffi. Maybe it's Rios who's just putting on an act, and then we just get blown away when it's friggin' Agnes.
Right?
Reagan Agnes.
Yeah.
And it would have been even better if it wasn't an, if the whole thing was an act and she's like, you guys got me.
That would have been a much better show.
Oh, you got me. All
Yeah,
right,
like-
well played.
Well, like her whole demeanor changes. You know what I'm saying? Like if
Yeah.
she's that good of an actress, sounds like she is. Like it could have been amazing.
Suddenly she has a cat.
Yeah. Of course, it would also require the setup of a better reason of why she was going. So yeah, the whole series would have to be.
You mean
have to
rather
go
than
through
a
another
forced
draft.
mind meld?
No, I mean like for Picard, like
Oh.
because like she just shows up, kills a Romulan, freaks out about it, and says, "And I'm coming too."
Yeah. Like I was suspicious of her the whole time because that scene was just weird.
Oh yeah.
But there's really not a lot. There's not a lot to her. It's pretty shallow.
And she was being, since like that wasn't a setup for her killing that Romulan and then freaking out. She really did go in there, kill the Romulan, and legit freak out.
Yeah.
And it's a coincidence that she showed up at just that moment. Like it would have been, it all would have been so much cooler if if the whole thing had been an act.
Maybe there's
Yeah.
some sort of deeper game going on
I
between
think
Commodore O and not a Muppet Rizzo.
I don't know, but I wish Agnes was part of it.
And she'd been able to, whatever she saw in the forced mind meld was enough to make her justify going on this crazy trip and killing a guy.
We will
her-
get more
her
of that next
fall apart.
episode,
It
though.
seems weird too.
We will get more of what she saw in the next episode.
Okay, good.
I already saw. It's called Miranda. I've
Nice.
seen this movie.
Yep.
Miranda.
We also get the return of 7 of 9 teased in the next episode. And we also, this is my own teaser, we also get to find out why Rios is so cool.
Oh man, he's such a haunted character with a great backstory.
What if he's a robot?
Robot.
I swear to God, I am done. If they're like, "Oh, Rios is a robot too," I'm like, fuck it. I know.
Flip the table.
Yeah, I just not even through Brian's entertaining recounting. I don't even want.
The entire Motley crew is robots, and they form a Voltron to.
Everyone's secretly a robot?
Everyone's a robot except Picard. Who's
Oh, what if Picard is too?
No, I'm
That's the
pretty-
twist.
No, I don't. That's
See,
not
I
very-
would not put that past this series.
No, I'm pretty
Picard's
sure they.
secretly a robot.
They're. I would not be surprised at all, considering is the whole. Oh, he survived that giant explosion, and
He just took a bad knock.
yeah, he just took a
He
bad
died
knock.
in the explosion and then got turned into a robot.
The whole series is just a dream.
A dream in his positronic net.
Because
yeah.
that was in the first episode.
Yeah, that was.
So all the rest of the series is just a near-death experience.
Oh, what if it's like that Futurama episode where the whole thing is an experience for Picard to accept himself as a robot after he was, blown up? You remember Futurama where they reprogram Bender to accept some kind of new robot system? And they're like, I don't want to be reprogramming, and then he is like escapes. It's almost like this Brazil.
Oh, and he becomes like all made of wood.
Yeah, because made of wood, and then at the very end, it's like, oh, that robot's safe. I guess she isn't so bad. And then he wakes up in the factory after his reprogramming. And that's what it was.
Oh yeah.
That I would not see coming with this series.
Nope.
At this point, yeah, Picard being a robot of some sort.
I
hope
honestly,
not, but
I think so.
I wouldn't put it past him.
I mostly because of the way I did watch the intro video
Yeah.
after Brian described it, and
Mhm.
it reminds me a lot of Westworld.
Oh,
Which, spoiler for the dozens of you listening, is about robots.
I saw the part of the first season.
That's not a spoiler.
Well, thank you again for listening. I have been Dapper Stormtrooper along with Warring Whitefish, Profound Paganini, and Bravest Podcaster Krista. Thank you again, and remember, no matter how powerful you think it is, you should never assume that radiation will finish off your newly ex-girlfriend. Thank you and good night.